Chapter 839. Done. In the distance, Guyuan roared with laughter when he saw Ningyu's body on the verge of collapse. Ningyu, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Guyuan was momentarily overwhelmed by joy. He charged forward in the blink of an eye, intending to deal a fatal blow to Ningyu. However, Guyuan had clearly forgotten that he was currently unable to bring out his peak fighting strength. He only possessed around 20% of his original fighting strength. Red Devil, I'll leave it to you. Ningyu closed his eyes and muttered to himself as he looked at Guyuan, who was rushing over. Haha, you still dare to put on an act even when death is at hand. I will now let you know what is called cruelty. Ningyu's actions once again caused the corners of Guyuan's mouth to rise into an arc, as if victory was already in his grasp. Ugh! However, Guyuan suddenly stopped before he could reach Ningyu's side. Guyuan turned around and looked at the red figure that had unknowingly appeared behind him. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but instead spat out a large mouthful of dark red blood. Whoosh! Red Devil slowly withdrew the Red Devil sword from Guyuan's back and indifferently said, "Sometimes those who do not know their own limits will die earlier." "All of you deserve to die," Guyuan coldly said as he retreated. "I do not know if we deserve to die, but I am very clear that this day next year is destined to be the anniversary of your death." As his voice faded, Red Devil's figure gradually turned illusory. In the blink of an eye, Red Devil appeared in front of Guyuan. His right hand gripped the Red Devil sword and directly pierced Guyuan's heart. Puff! Guyuan was not in peak condition to begin with. His eyes rolled back when the Red Devil's sword pierced his heart, and he died on the spot before he could even say anything. What? Guyuan's sudden death caused Holei's and Su Shun's expressions to change drastically. Su Shun and Holei were both shocked, extremely shocked. One must know that Ningyu had not even made a move. How could a weak, red-clothed cultivator so easily kill Guyuan? "What should we do?" Su Shun asked in a low voice. "What else can we do? Right now, Ningyu is not in peak condition. We'll take one each," Holei said solemnly. "All right, I'll deal with Ningyu. You deal with the man in red." Su Shun gritted his teeth and was the first to charge out. His target was Ningyu. As for Holei, he charged towards the red fiend. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, just as Holei and Su Shun took a few steps forward, two figures sprang out from Ningyu's body. These two figures, one white and one black, were extremely fast. Dark Emperor Furball. The two figures that emerged from Ningyu's body were the Dark Sovereign and Furball. After refining the energy from the heaven-devouring hound skeleton, and Ningyu had raised his hand at the critical moment, the Dark Emperor and Furball were both at the middle stage of the Blessed Realm, a heaven-swallowing hound at the intermediate stage of the Creation Realm, and a purple-gold heaven-swallowing hound at that. One could imagine how terrifying its combat power was. At their peak, Su Shun and Holei could contend with the Dark Sovereign and Furball. They only had 50% of their strength left. Bang! Bang! Two crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Soon after, two figures fell to the ground like kites with their strings cut. Dog! Su Shun and Holei stood up with great difficulty. Yen Mo stared at the Dark Sovereign and Furball in the air and exclaimed, "Humph! You're the dog. You should call me Emperor." The Dark Sovereign coldly snorted and tore through space, appearing in front of Su Shun like a bolt of lightning. Crack! The Dark Sovereign's movements were very fast, so fast that Su Shun's neck was snapped before he could react. Not good. Seeing Su Shun's neck snapped, Holei hurriedly chose to flee. However, even Su Shun could not react to the Dark Sovereign's attack, much less Holei. This was because Furball was slightly stronger than the Dark Sovereign. Puff! Furball's attack was very sharp, directly turning into a toxic dragon drill and piercing through Holei's body. Ningyu, just you wait to taste the wrath of the nine-furnace divine pavilion. Before he died, Hole used all his strength to shout, "Everyone from the 8th and 7th branches of the nine-furnace divine pavilion, hurry up and leave. Issue the nine-furnace killing order. We swear to hunt down Ningyu." Boom! In fact, there was no need for Hole to say anything. Under the towering tree, the remaining geniuses of the 7th and 8th branches of the nine-furnace divine pavilion scattered in all directions. "Dark Sovereign, Furball, Red Devil, you know what to do." Ningyu did not chase after them, but lightly said, "Swish, swish, swish." The Dark Sovereign and the others knew that they could not let the people of the nine-furnace divine pavilion escape at this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. 3 figures chased after the fleeing geniuses of the nine-furnace divine pavilion. After the Dark Sovereign and the others left, Ningyu took out the flower bud. Swish! Just as Ningyu took out the flower bud, it turned into a shadow and drilled into his body. Kacha! Not long after devouring Guyuan, the flower bud left and drilled into Holei's body. After a while, the flower bud flew out and drilled into Su Shun's body. After a few more minutes, the flower bud slowly flew out. For petals! Seeing the changes in the flower bud, Ningyu frowned and muttered. At first, the flower bud had 8 petals. After devouring 2 peak manifestation realm corpse puppets, it became 6 petals. Now, after devouring 3 half-step supreme being geniuses of the nine-furnace divine pavilion, the 6 petals became 4. It was getting harder and harder. At this rate, if he wanted to turn the 4 petals into 1, he would have to devour at least several supreme beings. Forget it. Even if the flower bud wants to devour earth or sky supreme beings, I will help find them. Ningyu shook his head and controlled the flower bud to enter his chest. The flower bud had helped him greatly when the teleportation array exploded. Ningyu wasn't someone who didn't know how to repay kindness. Since the flower bud needed energy and devoured martial artists, Ningyu would definitely find them for it. Of course, the martial artists that Ningyu found were all heinous people, or rather, people who were bent on killing him. Ningyu was a good citizen. He wouldn't do such heinous things. TSK. In the past, when it devoured energy, it would give me back a little. Now it's all gone to you. Ningyu released his perception slightly and started to circulate the spirit transformation technique to absorb the Yuan Qi in the air. Ever since the flower bud's petals turned from 8 to 6, Ningyu realized that the holy Qi that the flower bud absorbed from the void was completely consumed by itself. It couldn't even produce Shenyang pills. Shenyang pills were good stuff. Without them, it would be a huge loss to Ningyu. At the very least, it was impossible for Ningyu to recover to his peak state in a short period of time. Sha! Just as Ningyu was slowly recovering, the Dark Emperor and Furball flew over from afar. At this moment, the Dark Emperor's face was glowing with excitement. Ningyu, those small shrimps weren't even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. I killed them in a few moves. Chapter 840. Trouble in the Capital. Chapter 840. Battle Pow. Ningyu slapped the Dark Emperor's head and pretended to be angry. Stop pretending. You're only a middle manifestation realm cultivator, and your overall strength is only comparable to a peak manifestation realm cultivator. If you encounter a half-step honorable realm cultivator, you'll only end up with a grudge. Don't make fun of me. The Dark Emperor revealed a displeased expression. Although I'm only a middle manifestation realm cultivator, I still have some energy left in my body. As long as I refine all the energy in my body, I won't have to fear a half-step honorable realm cultivator. I can't believe it. Ningyu couldn't help cursing and rewarded the Dark Emperor with a chestnut. You still have energy in your body, so why do you need my help? Ningyu regretted not helping the Dark Emperor and Harry Ball if he knew this would happen. In the end, the Dark Emperor and Harry Ball advanced to the middle manifestation realm, while he was still in a weakened state. Woof woof! Harry Ball barked at Ningyu, as if saying that it wasn't what he thought. Forget it, I have two choices now. Ningyu waved his hand, signaling Harry Ball to calm down. First, continue to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. Second, return to the capital. Harry Ball tilted its head, thinking about something. As for the Dark Emperor, he shouted, "Let's go to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. I'm going to turn the headquarters of the Corpse Een sect upside down." The Dark Emperor was definitely thinking of going to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. Although he had devoured and refined the skeleton of the heaven-devouring dog, he still wanted to make a trip to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. He had to find out who killed the skeleton of the heaven-devouring dog. He had to take revenge, no matter what. Woof woof! Seeing the Dark Emperor's indignant expression, Harry Ball barked, as if agreeing with the Dark Emperor's words. Dark Emperor, it's not that I don't want to go to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. Ningyu briefly pondered, then said, "There's something that you have to think about. The Corpse Dragon Venerable is guarding the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range, and the Stone Dragon Venerable's cultivation is a second-grade sovereign. If you boast that you can kill a Grade 2 human sovereign, I have no objections and will follow you to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. If you can't deal with a Grade 2 sovereign, then I'm sorry, but you'll have to return to the capital first. Come back when you're stronger." The Dark Emperor fell into deep thought. Actually, the Dark Emperor really wanted to go to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. However, what Ningyu said was right. The Corpse Dragon Mountain Range was filled with second-grade sovereigns. Without absolute strength, going there would only be courting death. Rather than courting death now, it was better to endure for a period of time. It wouldn't be too late to go after he became stronger. Taking a deep breath, the Dark Emperor said, "I've decided to return to the capital first." "All right, there's no time to lose. Let's clean up the scene first before returning to the capital." Ningyu nodded and began to clean up the scene. Ningyu wasn't a hothead. Only by destroying the corpses could he prevent anyone from the Nine Cauldrons' divine pavilion from discovering him. Right now, Ningyu's strength was still too weak to contend against the entire Nine Cauldrons' divine pavilion. Swish, 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 swish. After everything was settled, Ningyu and the Dark Emperor's figures flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. On the third day after Ningyu left Duga Forest, Great Xia Kingdom, capital, Danwu College. I wonder when Ningyu will return. Old ancestor Ju Emo paced back and forth in the assembly hall and said anxiously, "Lu Wei's mother can only last for 3 days at most. If she doesn't take the revival good fortune pill after 3 days, she'll be in danger. Take 2 steps less." At the head of the hall, Mu Feng asked in a deep voice, "How is Lu Xuan doing? Are there any emotional fluctuations?" There aren't any emotional fluctuations. In the past few days, Lu Wei has been accompanying her mother. Below the assembly hall, Black Widow and the Black and White heroes sat on either side. Black Widow said, "Dan Xingzi has already decided that as long as Ningyu doesn't dare to return tomorrow, he will personally refine the pill." AI, Dan Xingzi is also an alchemy genius of his generation. If it weren't for Dan Xingzi would have already become a grade 8 alchemist. Mu Feng sighed and slowly said, "When the time comes, I will preside over the revival good fortune pill with Dan Xingzi." Dean Mu, although Ningyu's martial strength is very strong, his soul force isn't particularly heaven-defying. Even if he returns, it will be very difficult to refine the revival good fortune pill. The Black and White heroes said in unison, "Haha, the two of you don't need to worry about this. I am still very confident in Ningyu." Mu Feng waved his hand and smiled. "Is that so?" Mu Feng's faint laughter had yet to end when an ethereal voice sounded in the assembly hall. Swoosh! The sudden voice caused everyone in the hall, including Mu Feng, to stand up in an instant and unleash their perception. Who? Mu Feng's expression was cold as he said in a deep voice, Kacha! Kacha! What responded to Mu Feng was the sound of space being torn apart. After the space was torn apart, two young martial artists slowly walked out from the crack. Mu Tian! Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Mu Feng exclaimed, Haha, you didn't expect it, right? I, Mu Tian, have returned. The corner of Mu Tian's mouth curled up, and he smiled sinisterly. You just said that you are very confident in Ningyu. I don't know if you still have confidence in Ningyu after seeing my strength. As the word heart fell, Mu Tian rose from the ground and appeared in front of Mu Feng in the blink of an eye. Bang! Mu Tian's fist blasted out, bringing along bursts of Yuan Qi wind. Without any deviation, it landed on Mu Feng's chest. A huge force came from his chest, causing Mu Feng's body to retreat several feet. Puchi! Dark red blood spurted out. Mu Feng's face was filled with shock. How could Mu Tian's strength be so powerful? At this moment, not only Mu Feng had this thought, but the Black Widow, old ancestor Jiuemo, and the others also had the same thought. Mu Feng was in the middle stage of the manifestation realm, but he actually couldn't withstand a single move from Mu Tian. One could imagine just how powerful Mu Tian's overall combat power was. Mu Tian, I didn't come with you this time to see you show off. Hurry up and call Ningyu out. I want to see how powerful this martial artist who defeated you again and even nearly destroyed your confidence is. Next to Mu Tian, a young martial artist in a purple robe said lightly, Kacha! Hearing the purple-clothed man's words, Mu Tian could not help but clench his fists tightly. Mu Tian hated it when people mentioned his defeat. If it wasn't for the purple-clothed martial artist's strength, he would have already made a move. When he returned from the Great Xia Kingdom to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Mu Tian chose to go into closed-door cultivation and enter the most brutal training grounds of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple to cultivate. Fortunately, Mu Tian quickly made a breakthrough and advanced to the half-step manifestation realm. The moment the half-step manifestation realm Mu Tian came out of the training grounds, he couldn't wait to head to the Great Xia Kingdom for revenge. Who would have thought that he would meet the fifth-ranked absolute genius of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Ling Ju? Chapter 841. I'll make it for you. Old fart, hurry up and tell Ningyu to come out, or I'll let you die a horrible death. Taking a deep breath, Mu Tian resisted the urge to flare up and said in a solemn voice, I don't want to start a massacre. I'll give you 10 minutes. If I don't see Ningyu in 10 minutes, then there's no need for you guys to exist in this world. Mu Tian, Ningyu isn't in the Great Xia Kingdom. At this time, Mu Feng had to shoulder the burden. A few days ago, Ningyu left the Great Xia Kingdom. No one knows where he went. Oh, you're still protecting Ningyu when you're about to die. Mu Tian gloomily said, Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Fine, I'll start with you, you old fart. Whoosh! Mu Tian was truly furious. During the time Mu Tian was cultivating in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple's training field, he was constantly thinking about killing Ningyu. It was with this belief that Mu Tian was able to persevere until he came out of the training field. Otherwise, Mu Tian would have died in the extremely dangerous training field. Attack together! Mu Feng bellowed when he saw Mu Tian making a move. Voila! Old ancestor Jiuemo and the others understood the seriousness of the matter, so they immediately flashed out and cooperated with Mu Feng to fight Mu Tian. Patriarch Jiuemo was at the early stage of the manifestation realm, while Black Widow was at the mid-stage of the manifestation realm. The black and white heroes were also at the mid-stage of the manifestation realm. Logically speaking, with such a lineup, even if they encountered a martial artist in the later stage of the manifestation realm, they would be able to fight head-on. However, the martial artist they were fighting was none other than the Grand Nine Purities Palace's peerless genius, Mu Tian, who had endured hardships to gain courage. Mu Tian was originally ranked 10th among all the geniuses of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. However, after advancing to the half-step to manifestation realm, Mu Tian's overall ranking also increased along with his strength. Right now, Mu Tian was ranked 6th in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, just below Ling Ju. Courting death, Mu Tian vented all his anger towards Ningyu on Mu Feng and the others. Bang, 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 bang. He punched out 4 times in a row, and in an instant, fist lights appeared in the air and attacked old Ancestor Jiumo and the others. A crisp sound rang out. Ancestor Jiumo and the other 3 weren't even able to withstand a single attack. Old fart, you dare to talk back to me? I'll let you have a taste of pain right now. After casually defeating old Ancestor Jiumo and the others, Mu Tian let out a cold harumph and instantly arrived beside Mu Feng. Pa, 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 Mu Tian's left and right hands moved at the same time, repeatedly slapping Mu Feng's cheeks. After a while, Mu Tian stopped. On the other hand, Mu Feng's head was swollen like a pig's. I'll ask you one last time, where is Ningyu? Mu Tian asked in a deep voice. I'll still say the same thing. Ning, you left the capital a few days ago. As for where he is now, I don't know either. Mu Feng gritted his teeth. Good, very good. You don't want to say it, right? Even if you don't want to say it, I have a way. Suddenly, Mu Tian regained his composure and said, Just now, I heard you talking about the rebirth pill and Lu Wei. If I'm not wrong, Lu Wei must be Ningyu's woman. As long as I capture Lu Wei, Ningyu won't hesitate to act. Ha ha ha. After saying that, Mu Tian turned to Ling Ju and said, Brother Ling, please help me set up an array formation to trap these trash inside. No problem. In the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Ling Ju was not only strong in martial arts, but his attainments in array formations were also extremely heaven-defying. Hearing Mu Tian's plea, Ling Ju waved his hands repeatedly. Suddenly, for cold lights flew out from his sleeves. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The cold lights were none other than 4 flags. After the flags were planted around the hall, Ling Ju took out 4 royal-grade origin crystals and used them to suppress the flags. Rise! As Ling Ju shouted, for pillars of light rose from the flags and enveloped Mu Feng and the others. Looking at his masterpiece, Ling Ju clapped his hands and said, Done! Let's go and find Lu Wei. Mu Tian did not want to stay here any longer. In a flash, his figure flashed and disappeared. Ling Ju followed, closely behind. He tore open the void and entered. In the forbidden area of Danwu College, there were a total of 4 people in a secret room. They were Lu Wei, Lu Wei's father, Lu Derong, Lu Wei's mother, and Dan Xingzi. At this moment, Lu Wei and Lu Derong were standing respectfully to one side. As for Dan Xingzi, he was sitting cross-legged on the bed. Opposite him was Lu Wei's mother. Dan Xingzi placed his hands on Lu Wei's mother's back and continuously injected his primal qi into Lu Wei's mother's body. Phew! After about 3 minutes, Dan Xingzi slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. 3 days. Your wife can only hold on for 3 days. Dan Xingzi got off the bed and said to Lu Derong, within 3 days, there must be a life-giving pill. Otherwise, even if God Daluo comes, there's no hope of saving her. Sigh. Although I've been recovering well, the strength of my soul power is still at the peak of grade 7. Then Dan Xingzi sighed and said, if my soul force had reached the 8th grade, then I would have a 30% chance of refining the pill of good fortune if I work together with Mu Feng. Now, I only have a 10% chance. Senior Dan, when do you plan to start refining the life-giving pill? Lu Wei asked hurriedly. Tomorrow. As long as Ningyu doesn't return tomorrow, I will. Dan Xingzi took a deep breath and said, in my opinion, don't expect to refine the life-giving pill tomorrow. Dan Xingzi was halfway through his sentence when a faint laughter came from outside the room. Crack! Then the wooden door was smashed into pieces. 2 young martial artists walked in side by side. The 2 young martial artists were none other than Mu Tian and Ling Ju. Wow, there are so many people here. After entering the room, Mu Tian's lips curled up and his eyes fell on Lu Wei. If I'm not mistaken, you should be the woman Ningyu likes, Lu Wei, the great beauty Lu, right? Lu Wei turned her head away and said nothing. Don't worry, I'm very protective of the fairer sex. I won't kill you. Mu Tian shrugged and continued. On the contrary, I'll even help you refine the life-giving pill for you. Swoosh! As he spoke, Mu Tian's figure burst out and swept past Dan Xingzi like a bolt of lightning. Medicinal herbs. Dan Xingzi's expression changed drastically as he touched the storage bag in his pocket. Don't make a fuss. I said, I'll help you refine the life-giving pill. So I won't go back on my word. Mu Tian waved his hand and sat down with his legs crossed. He took out a round cauldron. At the same time, Mu Tian dragged the cauldron with his left hand and grabbed the medicinal herbs with his right hand, throwing them into the cauldron one by one. Mu Tian even displayed his 6th grade soul force and pretended to refine the life-giving pill. What are you doing? Seeing how Mu Tian was wasting the medicinal herbs, Lu Wei screamed and charged at Mu Tian. Bang! Lu Wei had just taken a few steps when Ling Ju raised his right hand and made intimate contact with her stomach. Chapter 842. Chapter 842 arrive in time. Ha ha ha! I love it when everyone related to Ningyu dies. Seeing Lu Wei hit the wall and spit out blood, Mu Tian stood up and laughed maniacally. Not only that, I'm going to destroy the herbs used to refine the elixir of rebirth. As he spoke, Mu Tian exerted strength in his wrist and threw the cauldron down. Crack! With a crisp sound, the cauldron shattered and the elixirs inside scattered all over the floor. Ningyu, if you still don't show up, I'll have to kill Lu Wei to force you out. Mu Tian's eyes turned cold. In the next moment, Mu Tian gave Ling Ju a look. His meaning was self-evident. Mu Tian, I'm just here to meet the so-called #1 prodigy of the great Xia kingdom. You want me to kill her? Are you kidding me? Ling Ju stood still and frowned. Mu Tian was used to ordering people around in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, so he did not change his words. Smiling awkwardly, Mu Tian dashed toward Lu Xuan in a flash. Bang! Seeing Mu Tian dashing toward Lu Wei, Lu Durong immediately stood in front of Lu Wei. Without a doubt, Mu Tian's punch that was supposed to land on Lu Wei's chest had landed on Lu Durong's chest instead. The huge force on Lu Durong's chest caused his face to contort, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Old fart, since you're courting death, I'll send you on your way. Mu Tian was angry that his fatal punch was blocked by Lu Durong. Extremely angry. Mu Tian was extremely terrifying when he was angry. Now that Mu Tian's cultivation was at the half-step to manifestation realm, he could kill Lu Durong 10 times, or even 100 times. Mu Tian's lips curled into a cold smile, and his figure gradually turned illusory. Swoosh! However, before Mu Tian's figure disappeared completely, a cold ray of light came from outside the room. The sudden change did not catch Mu Tian's attention. Mu Tian knew very well that Ling Ju would help him solve this problem. Ling Ju did not disappoint Mu Tian. He waved his sleeves, and a cold light collided with the cold light coming from outside the room. Chi-chi. The 2 beams of cold light collided with each other, only emitting a chi-chi sound before vanishing into thin air. Shio! Shio! However, just as Ling Ju was about to disperse the cold light, Another 2 rays of cold light came from outside the room. Humph, you're courting death. This change made Ling Ju lose face. He coldly snorted and rushed out of the room. Bang! However, before Ling Ju could rush out of the room, he was pushed back several feet by a giant palm print that came from the void. Who? You are so sneaky, and don't dare to show your face. Ling Ju swallowed the blood in his throat and said in a deep voice, If you have the ability, then show yourself. As you wish. An indifferent voice resounded in the room. Then, a group of 6 martial artists appeared in the room. 2 humans and 4 beasts. Ling Ju was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the figure before him. Ningyu. On the other side, Mu Tian stopped in his tracks and stared at Ningyu with an ecstatic expression on his face. I've been waiting for you for a long time. You're finally willing to come out. You did not respond to Mu Tian directly. Instead, his eyes slowly moved around the room. When he saw the medicinal herbs scattered on the floor and Lu Wei and the others who were severely injured in the corner, Ningyu's face completely darkened. After taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a deep voice, Mu Tian, I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't cherish it. Now, you dare to come to Dongwu College and cause trouble. If that's the case, then there's no need for you to exist in this world. Ha ha ha. Mu Tian seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Then his eyes turned cold as he said, Are you sure you're talking to me? I'm no longer the Mu Tian from a few days ago. After the training in the training field, my cultivation base has advanced to... Stop. I don't care if you're Mu Tian or not. Either way, you're not going to have a good ending since you've caused trouble here. Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted Mu Tian. I've even killed a half-step honorable realm cultivator, let alone a half-step manifestation realm cultivator like you. Dark Emperor. Here. The Dark Emperor stood on his hind legs and responded. Hold this cultivator off for me. I'll deal with him myself in 3 minutes. After giving the order, Ningyu rushed out in an instant. Violent Yuan Qi appeared on his fist, and he fiercely punched Mu Tian's head. Ningyu's punch was powerful. If Mu Tian was unlucky enough to be hit, he would be crippled even if he did not die. He's so strong. Mu Tian initially felt disdain when he heard Ning use arrogant words. Trying to kill him in 3 minutes? What a fool's dream! However, feeling the violent primordial qi on Ningyu's fist, Mu Tian was finally moved. He hurriedly gathered the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness on his wrist and threw a backhand punch, which collided with Ningyu's fist. Bang! When the 2 fists collided, a crisp sound was heard. Swoosh! Swoosh! Immediately, the 2 figures retreated rapidly. Ningyu was retreating to where Lu Wei and Lu Zhong were, while Mu Tian was retreating to where Ling Ju was. As expected of the top prodigy of the great Xia kingdom, he's so powerful. Through the exchange between Ningyu and Mu Tian, Ling Ju could tell that Ningyu was very powerful. There were very few cultivators who could go against Mu Tian head-on. Moreover, Ningyu was a cultivator who was born and raised in the great Xia kingdom. Ling Ju could not help but look at him in a different light. What top prodigy of the great Xia kingdom? He's nothing in front of me. Ling Ju compared him to Ningyu. Mu Tian was furious. He shouted, After today, there will be no more Ningyu in the great Xia kingdom. Silver Winged Dragon, Twin-Horned Beast, stay here and watch over Lu Wei. We'll be right back. Ningyu instructed and said to Mu Tian, We can't fight here. Why don't we fight outside? All right, let's fight outside. Ling Ju said loudly. Hearing Ling Ju's words, Mu Tian felt like he had been F***ed. His original intention was to fight here. After all, Lu Wei and the woman who was lying on the bed were here. If he fought with Ningyu here, Ning Yu would definitely not be able to bring out his full strength. If they fought outside, it would be disadvantageous for them. Don't just stand there. Get out now. Ling Ju slapped on Mu Tian's shoulder and rushed out of the room. Mu Tian had no choice but to glare at Ning Yu fiercely. He then followed Ling Ju and disappeared into the distance. Ning Yu, don't worry. After I kill you, I will take good care of Lu Wei for you. Ning, you did not intend to let Mu Tian go. Now that Mu Tian said something like this, it infuriated Ning Yu even more. Dark Emperor, Furball, you just need to stop the other cultivator. I want to kill Mu Tian myself. Chapter 843. Two duels, Jean. Is Ning Yu really that powerful? Lu Durong asked hesitantly as he watched Ning Yu leave. Lu Durong was shocked. Mu Tian's strength was incredible, but Ning Yu did not take him seriously. It seemed that Ning Yu is no weaker than Mu Tian. Ning Yu is powerful, but I don't know if he is Mu Tian's match. Lu Wei gritted her teeth. Forget it. Now that things have come to this, we can only wait. Lu Durong muttered. Don't worry. Ning Yu is a freak. He is half a step away from becoming a supreme. Forget it. There is no point in telling you all this. Anyway, don't worry. The silver-winged dragon explained when it saw Lu Wei and the rest were worried. If even Ning Yu can't kill Mu Tian, then I'm afraid no one in the entire capital is Mu Tian's match. The twin-horned beast was not worried at all as it chuckled. All right, we believe in Ning Yu. Lu Wei and the rest were relieved after hearing the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast's words. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, on the empty ground outside the room, Ning Yu, Ling Ju, Mu Tian, the Red Devil, the Dark Emperor, and Furball were divided into two groups. Ling Ju and Mu Tian were in one group, while Ning Yu and the rest were in the other. Ning Yu, I didn't expect you to advance to the half-step manifestation realm, Mu Tian said in a low voice as he sensed the powerful aura coming from Ning Yu. Shut up. Ning, you would not waste time talking to Mu Tian. Mu Tian had gone too far. Not only did he destroy the medicinal ingredients needed to make the vitality pill, he even injured Lu Wei. If Mu Tian had only destroyed the herbs, Ning Yu might have let him live. However, Mu Tian injured Lu Wei and wanted to kill Lu Wei. Ning Yu would never forgive him for this. Therefore, after Ning Yu's deep voice faded, his body dashed forward and headed straight for Mu Tian. Ling Ju, don't interfere. I can handle Ning Yu by myself. Looking at the approaching Ning Yu, Mu Tian waved his hand, indicating that Ning Yu did not need to do anything. He was very confident that he could blast Ning Yu into smithereens. I don't care. Ling Ju didn't plan to make a move in the first place, but after hearing Mu Tian's words, he flew to the other side and watched the duel between Ning Yu and Mu Tian. Although Ling Ju did not make a move, the Dark Emperor and Furball did not let down their guard. They released their senses and focused all of their attention on Ling Ju. If Ling Ju dared to make a move, they would immediately stop him. Ning Yu, I want to see what you're capable of. Mu Tian appeared in front of Ning Yu in an instant. His right hand emitted a terrifying wave of primordial qi as he punched at Ning Yu's heart. In order to kill Ning Yu in one move, Mu Tian took out a silver-white flying sword and stabbed at Ning Yu's heart. In Mu Tian's opinion, even if Ning Yu could block his fist, he would not be able to block his flying sword. No matter what, one of the two attacks would be effective. Solitaire. However, Mu Tian had obviously underestimated Ning Yu's strength. Before his fist could reach Ning Yu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out with a sword wave. Swoosh! In midair, a huge sword ripple separated from the red demon sword and collided with Mu Tian's fist, unable to avoid it. As soon as the sword wave came into contact, Ning Yu's sword wave dissipated into thin air. Ha ha ha! I thought you were powerful. It turns out that you're just an embroidered pillow. Next, I'll show you the power of a king-ranked, mid-grade flying sword. Mu Tian was slightly stunned when he easily dispersed the sword wave from Ning Yu's sword wave. Then he laughed maniacally. To be able to die under a king-ranked, mid-grade flying sword, it's a worthy death. After that, Mu Tian held the silver-white flying sword in his hand. He charged straight at Ning Yu. Is that so? Seeing Mu Tian's confident look, Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and waved the red demon's sword in his hand. Boom! In the next moment, numerous sword waves swept out and enveloped Mu Tian from all directions. As expected of the #1 prodigy of the great Xia kingdom, his strength is enough to compete with Mu Tian. Ling Ju murmured as he looked at the two of them fighting. Then he changed the topic and said, however, once Mu Tian uses his trump card, Ning Yu will definitely die on the spot. This battle is not what. However, before Ling Ju could finish a sentence, his mouth was slightly agape as he looked at the battlefield in disbelief. Crack! In midair, Ning Yu wielded the red demon sword and slashed at Mu Tian's silver-white flying sword. A crisp cracking sound resounded in the area. Everything seemed to have stopped. Mu Tian looked down at the king-ranked, mid-grade flying sword that was left in his hand. He felt like he had been F***ed. Gulp. Mu Tian forcefully swallowed his saliva and said in shock, a flying sword that can break a king-ranked mid-grade flying sword must be at least a king-ranked flying sword. Swoosh! In the distance, Ling Ju's expression changed drastically when he heard Mu Tian's words. A king-ranked flying sword? That was a treasure. Even in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, there were very few martial artists who owned a king-ranked flying sword. There might be many king-ranked flying swords in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, but there were only 1 or 2 king-ranked flying swords. However, those 2 king-ranked flying swords were in the hands of the higher-ups. It was impossible for martial artists like them to get their hands on them. If I can get my hands on a king-ranked flying sword, my combat strength will at least double. Ling Ju's face was burning with passion. He charged out without hesitation. Mu Tian, I'll lend you a hand. Ling Ju's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he was several feet away. Humph! Your opponent is us. Don't disturb Ning Yu. The Dark Emperor harumphed coldly when he saw Ling Ju's attack. He instantly stood in front of Ling Ju. A few useless dogs dare to stop me. Ling Ju said coldly, since you're courting death, I'll send you to heaven first. After that, I'll deal with Ning Yu. How dare you call me a dog? You'll pay for that. The Dark Emperor hated being called a dog the most. This was especially so after he advanced to the middle stage of the manifestation realm. This taboo became even more intense. One had to admit that Ling Ju was really bold for daring to commit such a crime. Furball, Redskin, you guys stay here and watch. Let me deal with this so-called genius. As the Dark Emperor rushed out, he turned his head and said to Furball and Hong Mo, what you need to pay attention to is whether Ning Yu defeated Mu Tian. I can deal with this arrogant cultivator alone. Stupid dog, if you dare to stop me, I'll send you to heaven first. Ling Ju said coldly. Ha ha ha. There are many people who want to kill me. You're just a half-step to the manifestation realm. You're not qualified. The Dark Emperor opened his mouth and instantly spat out an energy ball. Swoosh! The energy ball tore through the void and arrived next to Ling Ju in a flash. A stupid dog is so powerful. Ling Ju was secretly shocked when he sensed the power of the energy ball. He could not help but re-evaluate Ning Yu. Chapter 844. Easy kill. Mu Tian, be careful. Oh no. No matter what, Ling Ju and Mu Tian were fellow disciples of the same sect. Ning Yu was powerful. Ling Ju had to warn Mu Tian. However, Before Ling Ju could finish his sentence, he stopped abruptly. The Dark Emperor had already torn through the void and appeared in front of him. A terrifying aura erupted from the Dark Emperor, indicating that his cultivation had reached the middle stage of the manifestation realm. Ling Ju was very surprised to see a dog in the middle stage of the manifestation realm. One must know that even as a peerless genius of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Ling Ju's cultivation was only at the half-step manifestation realm. How could Ling Ju not be shocked that a dog was in the middle stage of the manifestation realm? In Ling Ju's opinion, the Dark Emperor was still no match for him. Damn dog, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish first. Ling Ju turned around to look at the battle between Ningyu and Mu Tian. He slightly relaxed and turned to fight the Dark Emperor. Mu Tian and Ningyu were evenly matched for the time being. Neither could do anything to the other. Under this premise, Ling Ju could naturally devote himself to the battle with the Dark Emperor. Roar! The Dark Emperor roared at the sky and raised his front paw, aiming for Ling Ju's heart. After all, Ling Ju was a peerless genius of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. If he was so easily caught by the Dark Emperor, where would his face go? Ling Ju's body slightly moved to the side and easily dodged the Dark Emperor's attack. At the same time, Ling Ju waved his sleeve and took out a silver-white flying sword. King Middle Grade Flying Sword. White Sword. The flying sword in Ling Ju's hand was called White Sword, King Middle Grade Flying Sword. I might be a little afraid if you also have a King Middle Grade Flying Sword, but you're just a dog without a flying sword. What makes you think you can fight me? Ling Ju stabbed out with the white sword, intending to kill the Dark Emperor. Humph! You want to defeat me with a mere King Middle Grade Flying Sword? You should take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror. The Dark Emperor had seen King Middle Grade Flying Swords before. How could he be afraid of a King Middle Grade Flying Sword? You're about to die, yet you still dare to be stubborn. The ignorant are truly fearless. Ling Ju desperately poured his yuan qi into Bai Wujian, causing it to tremble slightly. Buzz! After the trembling sound, Ling Ju's Bai Wu sword flew out of his hand and attacked the Dark Emperor. Dark Emperor, I'll help you. At this critical moment, Hong Mo let out a low shout and instantly rushed out. The Red Fiend knew the Dark Emperor's strength. Although his cultivation level was at the mid-stage of the creation realm, his overall strength could only match a warrior at the peak of the creation realm. Ling Ju's combat power was top-notch even among martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm. In fact, Ling Ju might even stand a chance against a half-venerable realm cultivator. The Dark Emperor would definitely be at a disadvantage against Ling Ju, and there was a high chance that he would be killed. Ha ha ha, Redskin, it's been a long time since we fought side by side. Today, let's have a good fight. Seeing the Hong Mo helping him, the Dark Emperor burst into laughter. Woof woof! Not long after the Hong Mo made his move, Furball barked a few times and joined battle. If the Dark Emperor was very happy that the Red Fiend had joined the battlefield, then the Dark Emperor's expression changed slightly when Furball joined the battlefield. He even berated, Furball, you have to help Ningyu. Woof! Furball howled indignantly at the Dark Emperor before turning to look at Ningyu. Seeing this, the Dark Emperor also looked at Ningyu. It would have been fine if he did not look, but the moment he did, the Dark Emperor cursed. F***CK. The Dark Emperor even had the urge to curse. In the battle between Ningyu and Mu Tian, he had the absolute advantage. It could be said that it was an adult beating a child. The Dark Emperor's face darkened. Damn it, your combat power is so strong, and you want us to watch Ling Ju? The most annoying thing was that Ningyu could have easily killed Mu Tian, but he had been suppressing Mu Tian and did not use his full strength. It's not good to be distracted now. Seeing that the Dark Emperor was distracted, Ling Ju smirked and said sinisterly, Most of the time being distracted is the biggest cause of death. I'm distracted? Distracted my ass. The Dark Emperor did not get distracted. Although he looked at Ningyu, he was constantly paying attention to Ling Ju. When Ling Ju came to his side, he suddenly enlarged and a pair of purplish gold wings appeared on his back. What? Purplish gold sky devouring hound. At this moment, Ling Ju was extremely shocked. Hee, it's not good to be distracted now. The Dark Emperor smiled and repeated what the Hong Mo had said earlier. Moreover, the Dark Emperor did not just say it. He also put it into action. In an instant, the Dark Emperor came to Ling Ju's side and grabbed him with his front paw. At the same time, Furball and the Hong Mo appeared on the other side of Ling Ju, and each launched a powerful attack at Ling Ju's head. Very good, very good. At the critical moment, Ling Ju waved his hands, and 3 streaks of cold light shot out from his sleeves. Swish, swish, swish. The 3 streaks of cold light were extremely fast. Before the attacks of the Dark Emperor and Furball could land on Ling Ju, 3 cold beams of light struck the bodies of the Dark Emperor and the others. Bang, bang, bang. This proved that the power of the cold light was extremely powerful. Even though the Dark Emperor and Furball were strong, they could not withstand the powerful attack of the cold light. Poochie, poochie, poochie. 3 consecutive sounds of blood being spat out could be heard in the area. The aura of the Dark Emperor, Furball, and the Hong Mo dropped from their peak to the bottom. Humph. I'm the genius of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. If I'm defeated so easily, how am I supposed to show my face in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple in the future? Ling Ju raised his brows and said coldly, I didn't want to kill, but today I have no choice but to do so. All of this is because of you. Is that so? Before Ling Ju could finish his words, a calm voice rang in his ears. When he heard the familiar voice, Ling Ju was slightly taken aback and turned around. This glance caused Ling Ju to reveal a terrified expression. In midair, Ning Yu stood with his hands behind his back, his face devoid of joy or sorrow. Ling Ju's gaze fell on the area below Ningyu. Mu Tian was lying flat on the ground below Ningyu. His eyes were wide open, and there was a hint of fear on his face. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible! After a brief moment of shock, Ling Ju roared like a madman. No matter how weak Mu Tian is, he's still a half-step to manifestation stage practitioner. Moreover, he had the trump card given to him by the Grand Supreme Elder. How could you kill him so easily? Nothing is impossible. Ningyu leaped and slowly landed on the ground. Although Mu Tian is a half-step to manifestation stage practitioner, he won't be able to gain any advantage against me. Chapter 845. Unkillable what? How could the ancient scroll be in your hands? Looking at the ancient blue scroll in Ningyu's hand, Ling Ju was shocked. After all, the blue ancient scroll was given to him by Mu Tian's father to save his life. Mu Tian was a peerless genius from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. No matter how weak he was, he shouldn't have been killed by Ningyu before he could even use the ancient scroll, right? If it was true, then how powerful was Ningyu? A series of questions popped up in Ling Ju's mind. Nothing is impossible. Ningyu kept the ancient scroll and said, Mu Tian has been going against me time and time again. He tried to kill me, and even tried to kill Lu Wei. It's reasonable for me to get rid of him. You're different. There's no enmity between us. If you can take out the ingredients needed to refine the Revival Good Fortune pill, I can let you live. Are you sure you're not joking? Ling Ju stared at Ningyu and said, The pill of good fortune is an 8th grade medicinal pill, and it's the best among all 8th grade medicinal pills. If I were in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple, I might be able to get the medicinal ingredients in a short time. But now, where do you expect me to find them? I don't care about that. In short, hand over the medicinal ingredients, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, no one will be able to stop you. As he spoke, Ningyu's face turned completely gloomy. Humph! You're only half a step into the manifestation realm. You want to kill me? It won't be that easy. Ling Ju snorted. You can try. Ning Yu's eyes turned cold. The moment he said try, his body rose from the ground and rushed out like a bolt of lightning. I'm not afraid to tell you that I don't actually have a good relationship with Mu Tian. Initially, I didn't intend to avenge him. Since you're so stubborn, I can only do justice on behalf of the heavens. Looking at the approaching Ningyu, Ling Ju took a deep breath and swung the white sword in his hand. Walala! In an instant, several sword gleams suddenly appeared in midair. Countless sword waves blasted towards Ningyu. Insignificant skill. Ningyu swung the red demon's sword in his hand as he flew. Hua! Several sword ripples separated from the red demon's sword and collided with Ling Ju's sword gleams. Chi-chi! When the sword light and the sword wave collided, there was naturally a sizzling sound. After the sound, Ningyu and Ling Ju came into close combat. He is indeed the #1 prodigy of the great Xia kingdom. His strength isn't considered weak. If Ling Ju didn't know why Mu Tian would kill him earlier, then after exchanging blows with Ningyu, he finally understood. It was definitely not a coincidence that Ningyu could kill Mu Tian. In terms of martial arts strength alone, Ningyu could be ranked in the top 5 of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Moreover, this was just a conservative estimate. If Ningyu had any powerful trump cards, he could even be ranked ahead of him. Their strength is on a completely different level. When Ningyu killed Mu Tian, it didn't take much effort. It could be said that he killed Mu Tian effortlessly. However, after exchanging one blow with Ling Ju, Ningyu determined that even 10 Mu Tians might not be Ling Ju's match. Ningyu, I'm coming to help you. In the distance, the red demon saw that Ningyu didn't have the upper hand. He immediately let out a low shout and entered the red demon's sword. One with the sword. At this moment, the red demon had completely fused with the red demon's sword. A royal grade flying sword that has developed a spiritual body. Ling Ju's eyes were very sharp. He clearly saw the red demon turning into a shadow and entering the red demon's sword. The fact that the red demon's sword was a royal grade flying sword was enough to shock Ling Ju. Now that he discovered that the red demon's sword had developed a spiritual body, how could he not be excited? After a brief moment of excitement, Ling Ju was slightly dazed. He was thinking about how to get his hands on the red demon's sword. Bang! Without a doubt, Ling Ju paid the price for his daze. Ningyu threw a punch and landed squarely on Ling Ju's chest. Fortunately, Ling Ju dodged Ningyu's next fatal blow. Otherwise, even if he didn't die, he would have been seriously injured. Hiss! Ling Ju sucked in a breath of cold air as he dodged the fatal strike. Slash! He threw the white sword in his hand and pointed it at Ningyu's heart. Ling Ju's sudden action puzzled Ningyu. Logically speaking, Ling Ju should not have thrown out his king-grade, medium-grade flying sword when he knew he had a royal-grade flying sword. This was because there was an 80% chance that a king-grade, medium-grade flying sword would be mercilessly cut in half against a royal-grade flying sword. Crack! The result was not out of Ningyu's expectations. The red demon's sword slashed at the white sword, cutting it in half. Buzz! As soon as the white sword was cut in half, Ling Ju disappeared from the area. Trying to sneak attack me? Ningyu used his powerful perception and instantly found Ling Ju's location. However, Ningyu did not make a sound. Instead, he turned to the Dark Emperor and said, "Did you guys find Ling Ju?" "How did I? It's good that you didn't find me. Even an honorable realm martial artist can forget about finding me, let alone a half-step manifestation realm piece of trash like you." Before Ningyu finished speaking, Ling Ju appeared behind him. With a sinister smile, Ling Ju's fist carried an extremely terrifying fluctuation of yuan qi and ruthlessly punched toward Ningyu's head. In order to kill Ningyu, Ling Ju used 100% of his strength in this punch. The corner of Ling Ju's mouth rose. It was as if he could see Ning Yu being killed. One had to know that Ling Ju's punch, with 100% of his strength, could easily kill a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Ling Ju had even used this move to sneak attack a half-step supremacy realm martial artist. At that time, although that half-step supremacy realm martial artist did not die, he was bedridden for half a month before he recovered to his peak state. Ling Ju did not believe that Ning Yu's strength could compare to a half-step supremacy realm martial artist. Trying to sneak attack me? Hee, little do you know, I already know your location. Ning Yu suddenly turned around. The red demon, sword in his hand, trembled as he stabbed out. Puff! The sound of a flying sword, piercing flesh rang out. At this moment, time seemed to stop. Gulp! Ling Ju swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He lowered his head to look at the blood-red, flying sword in his heart. He was dumbfounded. How did you find me? Ling Ju pointed at Ning Yu and said with the last bit of strength in his body, How did I find you? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said, Although your concealment technique is powerful, I'm also good at concealment techniques. Therefore, you can't hide from me. That's right, not only can I find you, but I also know that you're pretending to be on the verge of death. Ning Yu continued, The moment the red demon's sword pierced your heart, I knew that your heart is not on the left, but on the right. Kaka, since you know that my heart is on the right, I can only send you to hell. Chapter 846. Half-Beast, Half-Beast. Ning Yu could not help but take a few steps back when he saw Ling Ju's appearance. Ling Ju's eyes were bloodshot, and his hair stood on end. Even a pair of blood-red wings grew out of his back. Half-Beast God-slaying bird. Half of Ling Ju's appearance was that of the God-slaying bird, and the other half was his own. I didn't expect you to be a half-beast. Ning Yu stared at Ling Ju and said in a deep voice, I have been hiding in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple for many years and have gradually forgotten that I'm a half-beast. If you hadn't forced me to reveal my true form, I'm afraid I would have continued living as a human. Ling Ju took a deep breath as if he was reminiscing about the past. After a while, Ling Ju said coldly, Since you've discovered my true form, I'm sorry to say that you're destined to die today. Swoosh! Ling Ju's wings flapped rapidly, and it only took him 0.01 seconds to arrive in front of Ning Yu. Then Ling Ju used his extremely sharp claws to grab at Ning Yu's neck. Slash! After a brief moment of shock, Ning Yu quickly slashed the red devil sword at Ling Ju's claws. Screech! Ling Ju let out a cry, turned around, and charged at the Dark Emperor. After transforming into his true form, Ling Ju's senses and speed had become much stronger. Before Ning Yu could react, Ling Ju and the Dark Emperor were already engaged in battle. Boom! The Dark Emperor naturally transformed into his true form, the purple gold sky devouring hound, to fight against Ling Ju. Although Furball did not transform into his true form, he cooperated with the Dark Emperor to attack Ling Ju. Purple gold sky devouring hound. If I devour you, I might be able to reach the early stage of the manifestation realm. Ling Ju's eyes were filled with passion. As a half-beast, Ling Ju had also mastered the art of devouring. The ancient god-slaying bird was an existence that was not inferior to the sky-devouring hound. However, after tens of thousands of years of evolution, the power of the half-beast god-slaying bird's bloodline had become extremely thin. A mixed bird wants to devour me. The Dark Emperor was enraged. The god-slaying bird of the primordial era might be comparable to the purple-gold, heaven-devouring dog, but the Dark Emperor was fearless against the half-beast god-slaying bird. In midair, the Dark Emperor and Ling Ju were fighting. As the Dark Emperor's bloodline was relatively pure, and with Furball's help from the side, the outcome of the battle was actually not decided. The Dark Emperor won't be able to hold on for long. I have to think of a way. Ningyu frowned as he thought of a countermeasure. Although the Dark Emperor and Ling Ju seemed to be evenly matched on the surface, Ningyu knew that the Dark Emperor could only last for 3 more minutes. After 3 minutes, the Dark Emperor would definitely be killed. Ningyu, the god-slaying bird, has a fatal weakness. Just as Ningyu was pondering, the Red Fiend's voice sounded in his ears. As long as you can cut off the wings on his back, his strength will drop by at least half. Hearing this, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and revealed a happy expression. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu rushed out and joined the battlefield. Ha ha ha! Mixed hairy bird, your good days are over. Seeing that Ningyu had joined the battlefield, the Dark Emperor laughed. Humph! Do you think that's all I can do? Although Ningyu had joined the battle, Ling Ju did not take it to heart at all. The next moment, Ling Ju snorted coldly, and the blood-red wings on his back flapped rapidly. In an instant, he tore through the void and disappeared. Not good. Seeing that Ling Ju had disappeared, Ningyu's expression changed drastically. Don't worry, let me blast him out. The Dark Emperor waved his hand, indicating for Ningyu to calm down. Calm down my ass. Ningyu glared at the Dark Emperor fiercely, then tore through the void and flew toward the room where Lu Wei was. Actually, the moment Ling Ju disappeared, Ningyu knew what he wanted to do. Lu Wei! Ling Ju was well aware that he was no match for Ningyu and the others at the moment. If the battle continued like this, the one who would be killed was destined to be him. Therefore, Ling Ju thought of another way. He would capture Lu Wei and force Ningyu to let him go. Ling Ju thought of this and did it. In the room where Lu Wei was, the silver Quetzalcoatlus and the twin-horned beast sensed something unusual and immediately rushed out. Seeing the silver Quetzalcoatlus and the twin-horned beast, Ningyu hurriedly shouted, Silver Quetzalcoatlus, twin-horned beast, attack the space in front of you with all your might. Although the silver Quetzalcoatlus and the twin-horned beast did not know why Ningyu wanted them to attack, they still used all their strength to attack the space in front of them. Rumble! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Then, a figure rapidly flew out from the void. Ling Ju, if you fight me head-on, you might have a chance to escape. But since you want to launch a sneak attack, I'm sorry, but this day next year will be the day you die. Looking at Ling Ju flying out from the void, Ningyu slashed the red demon sword in his hand. In an instant, countless sword waves appeared and slashed toward Ling Ju's back. Ningyu's goal was clear, and that was to chop off Ling Ju's wings. Block it. Ling Ju also guessed Ningyu's intention. He quickly flapped his wings and shot out several rays of cold light to block the sword waves in midair. Chi-chi. At first, Ling Ju was able to block several sword waves from Ningyu, but as time passed, Ling Ju's Yuan Qi gradually weakened. Crack! 3 minutes later, Ningyu took advantage of Ling Ju's carelessness and slashed down an even more powerful sword wave. Solitaire. A waist-thick sword wave appeared on Ling Ju's back and slashed at Ling Ju's blood-red wings. A crisp sound rang out. A pair of blood-red wings fell from Ling Ju's back. Mixed hairy bird, let's see how you can jump without wings. As soon as Ningyu chopped off Ling Ju's wings, the Dark Emperor charged out with a roar. The Dark Emperor loved to beat up dogs when they were down. No, it should be the mixed hairy bird. Just as the red demon sword said, Ling Ju's combat strength was halved after losing his wings. How could Ling Ju be a match for the Dark Emperor with his strength halved? The outcome was obvious. Before Furball could do anything, the Dark Emperor killed Ling Ju. Moreover, the Dark Emperor also devoured Ling Ju's thin bloodline power, which he happily devoured. Although the bloodline is thin, it's better than nothing. The Dark Emperor licked his lips and said, Ningyu, if I devour a few more martial artists like the mixed hairy bird, I can even reach the mid-stage of manifestation. The Dark Emperor was now at the early stage of manifestation and was only a step away from the mid-stage of manifestation. Moreover, there was still energy in the Dark Emperor's body that had not been refined. As long as he completely refined the energy, he could even reach the mid-stage of manifestation on the spot. Clean up the battlefield. I'll go check on Lu Wei. Ningyu waved his hand and stomped on the ground, wanting to rush into the room. Bang! Bang! However, just as Ningyu moved, he saw two figures being thrown out of the room. Looking closely, Ningyu was very familiar with these two figures. Chapter 847. People from the Ice Region PFFF. 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 The silver winged dragon and the twin-horned beast spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Their mid-stage manifestation realm aura instantly dropped to the yin-yang realm. Looking at the silver winged dragon and the twin-horned beast's miserable state, Ningyu's expression turned gloomy. Lu Wei, you don't belong here. Hurry up and return with me. Subsequently, a gloomy voice came from the room. You will only be wasting your talents if you stay in the Great Xia Kingdom. Humph. I don't know who you are. Why should I go with you? In the room, Lu Wei spoke in a cold voice. Dark Emperor, treat the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast first. I will go take a look. Ningyu's eyes turned cold as he instantly rushed out. Ningyu's speed was very fast. In just 0.01 seconds, he arrived at the door of the room. However, just as Ningyu arrived at the door, he was stopped by a young man. Get lost. The young man didn't put Ningyu in his eyes as he immediately threw a punch at Ningyu. Not good. Feeling the horrifying essence force in the young man's fist, Ningyu's eyes turned dim as he quickly dodged to the side. Fortunately, Ningyu's speed was very fast. Otherwise, this young man's punch would be enough to send him to heaven. Wow! I didn't expect the Great Xia Kingdom to have such a prodigy. Not simple indeed. The young man didn't expect Ningyu to dodge his punch and was a little shocked. Crossing his arms in front of his chest, the young man looked at Ningyu with interest and said, In our sect, with your strength, you should be able to become an inner disciple. You might even have the chance to become a core disciple. Dufeng, why are you wasting your breath on him? He is just a martial artist from a low-class kingdom. Hurry up and kill him before he divulges our matter. Inside the room, a similarly young cultivator said impatiently, It was not easy to find Lu Wei this time. If something happens and the higher-ups blame us, we won't be able to bear the consequences. Kiki, Wan Quan, you are thinking too much. The strongest expert in the Great Xia Kingdom is only at the peak stage of the creation realm. Dufeng smiled faintly and said, You and I can kill many peak manifestation realm martial artists with a single move. Why worry? That being said, it's always better to be careful, Wan Quan said. Who are you? Why are you taking Lu Wei away? Hearing the conversation between the two young men, Ningyu scolded. From the conversation between the two young men, Ningyu obtained an important piece of information. They came to the Great Xia Kingdom to bring Lu Wei away, and they were entrusted by someone. Combined with the fact that Ouyang Ba had tried to capture Lu Wei several times previously, Ningyu deduced that Lu Wei's identity was definitely not simple. As for Lu Wei's background, Ningyu had no idea. However, regardless of Lu Wei's identity, as long as Lu Wei did not agree, Dufeng and Wan Quan could forget about taking Lu Wei away. Kiki, do you really want to know our identities? Hearing Ningyu's words, Dufeng raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, Let me tell you something in advance. Those who know our identities have all disappeared. Now, do you still want to know? Actually, it doesn't matter if I don't know your identities, but if you want to take Lu Wei away, you should at least ask Lu Wei if she agrees, right? Ningyu frowned. I don't agree. I don't even know them. Lu Wei yelled. As you can see, Lu Wei doesn't want to leave with you. Ningyu waved his hand and said, If you know what's good for you, leave at once. Otherwise, you'll cause unnecessary trouble. Trouble? What kind of trouble could there be? Wan Quan scolded. I'm not afraid to tell you that we are not from the Sky Demon region. We are from the Ice region. As for which sect we are from, with your status and strength, you are not worthy to know. Lu Wei, I know why you don't want to leave. At that moment, Du Feng pointed at the woman lying on the bed and said, The pill of rebirth. This woman needs the pill of rebirth to live, and we happen to have the ingredients to refine the pill of rebirth. If you agree to leave with us, we will help you refine the pill of rebirth immediately. What? You can help me refine the pill of rebirth? Hearing this, Lu Wei gritted her teeth, looked at Ningyu and said in a low voice, As long as you can refine the pill of rebirth, I agree to leave with you. Haha, you really are gullible. Although we have the ingredients to refine the pill of rebirth, it is not that easy to refine. Du Feng smiled in his heart, and then he sent a voice transmission to Wan Quan. Let's take out the ingredients first and trick Lu Wei into leaving with us. All right, let's do that. This year just happens to be the year when the extreme Yin body erupts. Any large fluctuation in emotions could cause it to erupt earlier. Wan Quan nodded, and then he took out a storage pouch from his robes. The sudden change in Du Feng and Wan Quan left Ning Yu scratching his head in confusion. Just a moment ago they were shouting about fighting and killing. So why did they change so quickly? The conditions here are not suitable to refine the pill of rebirth. In my opinion, we should find a quiet place to refine the pill. Wan Quan looked around and then said, Lu Wei, if you need the pill of rebirth, then get rid of all the unrelated people. That's right. The pill of rebirth is extremely difficult to refine. The slightest disturbance will cause the refinement to fail, so it's better for unrelated people to leave. Du Feng agreed. This, Lu Wei's face showed a difficult expression. In truth, Lu Wei did not trust Du Feng and Wan Quan from the bottom of her heart. Such fickle people were most likely not good people. Experts from the ice domain, can you take out the ingredients for me to inspect? There are a total of 1 to 200 kinds of ingredients needed to refine the pill of rebirth. I don't believe that you have them with you, Ningyu said, knowing what Lu Wei was thinking. Humph, who do you think you are to look at our ingredients? Wan Quan said coldly, Who doesn't know how to brag? The strength of your soul force is at best at the peak of grade 6. The pill of rebirth is a grade 8 pill. Are you sure you can refine it? Ningyu said disdainfully, The people of the Sky Demon region are indeed ignorant and inexperienced. Du Feng took out a crystal ball from his bosom and said, This thing can strengthen our soul force in a short period of time. Although our soul force is only at the peak of 6th grade, with this crystal ball, we can strengthen our soul force to the 8th grade realm. Isn't refining the pill of rebirth a piece of cake? Since the two of you are so capable, why don't I find a quiet place for you? Ning, you still looked as calm as before. How can a place like the Great Xia Empire, where even birds don't shit, be quiet? Du Feng shouted coldly. However, Du Feng's cold shout stopped abruptly before it could finish, resounding through the air. This was because Ningyu had mentioned a place that shocked him. A pill cave. If you refine pills in a pill cave, no one will disturb you. Chapter 848. Soul Assimilating Powder. Chapter 848. Soul Assimilating Powder. We have been to all kinds of dangerous places. How can a mere elixir cave scare us? After a brief moment of shock, Du Feng snorted. We also want to see what's so special about the elixir cave of the Great Xia Kingdom. That's right. There are countless elixir caves in the ice region. We once met a Supreme Realm elixir puppet in one of the elixir caves. I'm sorry, but we killed it together, Wan Quan added. Since that's the case, why don't we move to the elixir cave and refine the elixir revival there? As he spoke, Ningyu gestured for them to leave. His meaning was self-evident. Let's go. Du Feng glared at Ningyu and left the room immediately. Wan Quan didn't stay any longer. He discreetly left a smear of medicinal powder on Lu Wei and followed Du Feng out of the room. No one else noticed Wan Quan's small action, but Ningyu's sharp senses did. Why don't you take them down? As soon as Du Feng and Wan Quan left the room, Hong Mo's voice echoed in Ningyu's ears. It's not that simple. If I'm not wrong, Du Feng and Wan Quan came prepared. They must have a powerful trump card. Ningyu shook his head and whispered, moreover, they aren't weak. They might only be at the half-step creation realm, but I'm sure they are much stronger than Lingju. Stronger than Lingju? That's troublesome. Hong Mo frowned. Hong Mo had witnessed how strong Lingju was. Now that there were two more martial artists that were stronger than Lingju, it was indeed difficult to deal with them. Most importantly, they had just experienced a huge battle and weren't at their peak. It wasn't wise to clash with Du Feng and Wan Quan at this time. Actually, I'm not concerned about Du Feng and Wan Quan's strength, but Lu Wei's identity. Ningyu took a deep breath and said slowly, the fact that Du Feng and Wan Quan rushed over from the ice domain shows that Lu Wei's identity is definitely not ordinary. The Pill Cave is almost completely isolated from the outside world, so it's more convenient for us to act inside. Then, Ningyu turned around and smiled at Lu Wei. Wait here first. I'll definitely bring the Revival Good Fortune pill over in a day. Without waiting for Lu Wei to say anything, Ningyu immediately left the room. Looking at Ningyu's back, Lu Xuan bit his lips. No one knew what he was thinking. Ningyu, I heard that you're going to the Pill Cave? Outside the room, the Dark Emperor had already treated the silver winged dragon and the twin-horned vet. Seeing Ningyu come out, the Dark Emperor said, I want to go too. You stay and look after Lu Wei. Ningyu frowned. Haha, we're very interested in this dog. Let him go to the Pill Cave with us. Not far away, Du Feng smiled faintly. Ningyu's expression was gloomy. He did not make a decision immediately. To be honest, given the Dark Emperor's current battle strength, he could not last more than 3 moves against either Du Feng or Wan Quan. It was extremely dangerous to let the Dark Emperor go to the Pill Cave. What so cowardly? Seeing Ningyu hesitate, Du Feng continued, Since that's the case, I think there's no need to go to the Pill Cave. Everyone should go back to their homes and find their own mothers. Why are you wasting time with him? Let's go back and forcefully take Lu Wei away. Wan Quan was very angry. He turned around and was about to fly back to his room. I'll let you guys show off for a while. I'll let you guys suffer when we get to the Pill Cave. Ningyu was very angry inside, but he looked calm on the surface. He waved his hand and said, The Pill Cave is very big. One more person won't affect anything. One more person. Ha ha ha, it's clearly one more dog. Du Feng seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world and laughed wildly. Sigh, Du Feng, it's better not to say things so bluntly in someone else's place. Wan Quan sighed softly. The first sentence was fine, but the second sentence was sinister. I haven't eaten dog meat in a long time. I wonder if I can eat meat tonight. Hearing Wan Quan and Du Feng's ridicule, the Dark Emperor could not help but tremble. He looked like he was about to explode. Pa! At the critical moment, Ningyu pressed his palm on the Dark Emperor's shoulder and said indifferently, The two of you don't have the slightest intention of going to the Pill Cavern. Do you want to refine the revival pill here? Wan Quan, how long will it take for the soul-absorbing powder to take effect? Du Feng and Wan Quan did not directly answer Ningyu's question. They began to discuss in private. About 10 minutes. Wan Quan said, You also know that you can't use too much of the soul-absorbing powder. Otherwise, it might backfire and cause the extreme Yin body to erupt prematurely. 10 minutes? Du Feng pondered for a moment before saying, "Let's not go to the pill cave. We'll pretend to refine the elixir of creation here. After 10 minutes, when the soul-absorbing powder is completely effective, we'll make a move and get rid of all these small fries." "Good idea." Wan Quan nodded. "Ningyu, we've thought about it and found that it's quieter here. Let's refine the elixir of creation here." Du Feng turned around and said to Ningyu, "The elixir of creation is very difficult to refine. It's better for unrelated people, oh no, unrelated dogs, to leave quickly." The Dark Emperor knew that Du Feng was referring to him. He immediately flew into a rage. "Don't be impatient," Ningyu comforted him. "The most important thing right now is the elixir of creation. Everything else can be put aside for now." Seeing that the Dark Emperor's anger had not subsided, Ningyu whispered a few words in the Dark Emperor's ear. Hearing Ningyu's words, the Dark Emperor's face revealed a furious expression. He then tore open the void and entered. "Don't worry. With me around, it's very safe here. If it weren't for your silver spear wax heads, you'd be able to refine the elixir of creation in a day at the latest." Ningyu said lightly, "Humph. Du Feng, start the furnace." How could Wan Quan tolerate being mocked by Ningyu? After a cold snort, Wan Quan sat down cross-legged, took out a pill furnace, and began to refine the elixir of creation. Wan Quan was only a peak tier 6 alchemist. If he wanted to refine the elixir of creation, he had to increase his soul force to the tier 8 level. The soul force of a peak tier 6 alchemist could at most refine some simple medicinal ingredients. There were hundreds of medicinal ingredients needed to refine the elixir of creation. With Wan Quan's current refining speed, it would take at least 1 to 2 hours to refine the key medicinal ingredients. Therefore, Ningyu was not worried that Wan Quan would waste the medicinal ingredients. Simple medicinal ingredients were very common. Ningyu was only worried about the key medicinal ingredients. As long as the key medicinal ingredients were not destroyed, Ningyu would not feel nervous or worried at all. TSK. Time passed by minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 5 minutes had passed. What's going on? Why can't my senses enter the room? It seems like the room is sealed by something. Chapter 849. 10 minutes. There's no need to think about it. It must be Ningyu's doing. Wan Quan said to Du Feng as he refined the medicinal ingredients, "Don't worry about it for now. Go to the room in 5 minutes." "That's the only thing we can do now," Du Feng said helplessly. Swoosh! At the same time, Lu Wei was sitting cross-legged on the ground in the room. The Dark Emperor was standing on its hind legs, with its front paws on Lu Wei's back. On Lu Swan's shoulder, Harry Ball was blinking its little eyes, looking very adorable. Senior Dan Xingzi this. "Can the Dark Emperor get rid of the soul-absorbing powder in Jiner's body?" Lu Durong asked hesitantly with a worried look on his face when he saw the Dark Emperor's actions. 3 minutes ago, Lu Jin had become drowsy, and even her consciousness was starting to blur. Fortunately, the Dark Emperor intervened at the crucial moment. Otherwise, who knew what would have happened to Lu Wei? However, Lu Durong did not really believe in the Dark Emperor. From what he knew, how capable could a dog be? One must know that even Dan Xingzi said that he was not confident in getting the soul-absorbing powder out of Lu Wei's body. Although I don't know if the Dark Emperor can get rid of the soul-absorbing powder, I know that the Dark Emperor was introduced by Ningyu. "I believe in Ningyu," Dan Xingzi said solemnly. "Woof woof." As if it had heard Dan Xingzi's words, Furball barked a few times. "Furball, stop playing around and help." The Dark Emperor's eyes suddenly opened, and he grabbed Furball with his paw. he said in a low voice, "Pour all your energy into my body now. I want to get the soul-absorbing powder out." Woof! Furball revealed a displeased look when he was grabbed by the Dark Emperor. He barked again before pouring the energy in his body into the Dark Emperor's body. "Come out." Feeling the violent energy waves in his body, the Dark Emperor gritted his teeth and gathered all his energy into his front paw, slapping it fiercely at Lu Wei's back. Poochie! In the next moment, Lu Wei's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened, and she spat out a large mouthful of black blood. Buzz! Above the black blood, a black gas suddenly emerged. "Quick, find something to put it in." Seeing this, the Dark Emperor shouted. Whoosh! Dan Xingzi didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly took out a jade bottle and carefully drew the black gas into it. Pa! Only when Dan Xingzi capped the bottle did the Dark Emperor let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, the room was sealed by Ningyu using a secret technique. Otherwise, Du Feng and Wan Quan would have definitely discovered some clues. Even so, Wan Quan, who was outside the room, felt a tightness in his chest, and he had the urge to spit out blood. What happened? Seeing Wan Quan's reaction, Du Feng hurriedly said, "I'm fine. How many minutes have passed?" Wan Quan forcefully swallowed the blood in his throat and asked in a deep voice, 8 minutes, 2 minutes left, Du Feng replied. "Don't wait any longer. You should go to the room first. I have a feeling that the soul-absorbing powder left in Lu Wei's body has been forced out by someone else." Wan Quan waved his hand and gestured for Du Feng to enter the room to investigate. "Understood." Du Feng gritted his teeth and leaped into the room. Swoosh! However, just as Du Feng arrived at the door of the room, Ningyu blocked in front of him. Ningyu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow as he said indifferently, "What are you going to do?" "Right now is the time to refine the revival pill." Leaving Wan Quan alone, "Aren't you a little too arrogant?" "Humph! What does it have to do with you whether I'm arrogant or not?" Du Feng snorted coldly and said, "Hurry up and scram if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Scram shouldn't be possible. If you want to enter the room, you have to defeat me." Swoosh! As his voice fell, Ningyu's aura was released, soaring into the sky. Hiss! Feeling the terrifying aura exuding from Ningyu, Du Feng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Wait another 2 minutes. Du Feng was not afraid of Ningyu. He was afraid that fighting here would affect Lu Wei. Their mission was to take away Lu Wei. To be precise, they wanted to take away Lu Wei who had yet to erupt. Once the extreme Yin body erupted, even if they brought her back, they would not be able to contain it and could only helplessly kill her. Therefore, Du Feng chose to endure for 2 minutes. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. Although 2 minutes was not a long time, in Du Feng's heart, it was longer than 2 years. Swoosh! At the last moment, Du Feng instantly rushed out. His fist was covered in violent yuan energy as he fiercely punched at Ningyu's head. "Brat, I've long found you an eyesore. Now let me send you to hell." Chi! Du Feng was not only fast, but even the yuan energy on his fist made a hissing sound. In almost an instant, Du Feng arrived in front of Ningyu. Solitaire! Ningyu flicked his sleeve, and in an instant, the red demon's sword appeared in his hand. An earth-shattering sword wave slashed out. "Damn it, you don't play by the rules." Seeing the huge sword wave coming towards him, Du Feng hurriedly retreated. Du Feng did not have the guts to use his fist to meet such a terrifying sword wave head-on. "What do you mean by playing by the rules? I didn't say that I had to exchange blows with you. You are just stupid." Ningyu shrugged and slashed out several more sword waves. Whoosh! In midair, several sword waves appeared. Half of them slashed at Du Feng, while the other half slashed at Wan Quan, who was refining the revival pill. "Dark Emperor, bring Lu Wei and the others to the pill cavern first. Remember, no matter what, ensure the safety of Lu Wei and the others. As Ningyu fought with Du Feng and Wan Quan, he sent a soul transmission to the Dark Emperor. Understood. The Dark Emperor knew that the matter was urgent. He carried Lu Wei on his back and left through the secret passage in the room. Actually, the secret passage in this room was personally designed by Mu Feng. Mu Feng knew the importance of Lu Wei to Ningyu. He directly dug the secret passage into the pill cavern. As long as one left through the secret passage, one could directly reach the pill cavern. The pill cavern was a mystical place. Without a token, even martial artists whose cultivation reached the supreme realm would find it hard to enter. Mu Feng handed the token to Dan Xingzi. He did not expect that this move would actually come in handy. Du Feng and Wan Quan did not know what happened in the room. At this time, the two of them were resisting the several sword waves in midair with all their strength. Boom! Boom! Du Feng and Wan Quan each blasted out several fist lights. Each fist light met a sword wave. Both sides dissipated between heaven and earth at the same time. Humph! Ningyu, we were originally planning on letting you live. Since you are seeking death, don't blame us. Du Feng said with a cold snort. Why are you talking nonsense with him? 10 minutes have passed. The soul-absorbing powder must have taken effect. Let's kill him first, then bring Lu Wei back to the ice domain. Wan Quan said impatiently. I'm very sorry. I might have to disappoint you. Ningyu shrugged and said, I already knew that Wan Quan left something on Lu Wei's body. If nothing goes wrong, Lu Wei and the others have already reached a safe area. Impossible. Chapter 850. Chapter 850. The TRU looked down on Ningyu smirked as he looked at the fist aura approaching him. He dodged to the side. Rumble. Ningyu had dodged the attack, but the room behind him had nowhere to hide. After the earth-shattering explosion, everything returned to normal. After the smoke had dissipated, Wan Quan stared at the empty ground with his mouth slightly agape. His expression was one of annoyance. In fact, the moment Ningyu moved to the side, Wan Quan understood that what Ningyu said was true. Lu Wei had long since moved to a safe place. Otherwise, Ningyu wouldn't have dodged it. Instead, he would have blocked it with all his might. Ningyu, I'll give you one last chance to live. Hand over Lu Wei, and I'll let you live. Wan Quan took a deep breath and instantly calmed down. Du Feng, let's split up. I'll deal with Ningyu while you go on a killing spree. Wan Quan's voice wasn't loud, but when it landed in Ningyu's heart, it made Ningyu's heart tremble. Du Feng and Wan Quan were both very powerful. If they were to start a massacre in Danwu College, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ningyu, give me the red demon sword. I have a way to stop Du Feng. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, the Red Fiend suddenly leaped out of the Red Fiend's sword and charged at Du Feng with the Red Fiend's sword in hand. Courting death! A look of disdain appeared on Du Feng's face when he saw a red figure holding a red flying sword charging towards him. Du Feng even said to Wan Quan, After we capture Ningyu, don't kill him yet. We have to interrogate Lu Wei. Oh no. However, Du Feng had obviously underestimated the strength of the Red Fiend. Although Hong Mo's cultivation wasn't very high, the red demon sword in his hand was a monarch rank flying sword. With a monarch rank flying sword and Du Feng's carelessness, Du Feng's arm was pierced by the red devil's sword. Whoosh! At the critical moment, it was fortunate that Du Feng moved his body slightly to the side. Otherwise, it was very likely that the red devil's sword would have cut off his arm. Even so, Du Feng's arm was cut open and blood flowed out. You've completely infuriated me. I'm going to cut you into 8 pieces. A cold glint flashed across Du Feng's eyes as he spoke viciously. Those who want to chop me into pieces are right. Who do you think you are? The Red Fiend knew that he was inferior to Du Feng in terms of raw strength. Only by infuriating Du Feng and making him lose his rationality would he be able to last longer. The longer he persisted, the more chances Ning Yu had to kill Wan Quan. Let's see if you can still be so stubborn later. Du Feng stamped his feet on the ground and dashed forward. Boom! While Du Feng was fighting the Red Fiend, Ning Yu was already fighting Wan Quan. Wan Quan and Du Feng were much stronger than Ling Ju of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Wan Quan was even more terrifying than Du Feng. All in all, only 1.5 Du Feng could fight Wan Quan. I need to find a chance to use the ancient scroll. Ning Yu's eyes darted around as he fought Wan Quan carefully, trying to come up with a countermeasure. If Ning Yu had any trump cards, it would be the flower bud and the blue ancient scroll that he had obtained from Mu Tian. For some reason, the flower bud seemed to have entered a hibernation period. No matter how Ning Yu called out to it, it would not respond. As for the blue ancient scroll that he had obtained from Mu Tian, Ning Yu knew that although it was powerful, it would be extremely difficult to kill Wan Quan. Unless Wan Quan was at the center of the ancient scroll's explosion, he would only be injured. It would not be able to kill him. Ning Yu, how dare you get distracted while fighting me? You are the first martial artist below the manifestation realm to do so. Just as Ning Yu was deep in thought, Wan Quan's fist tore through the air and arrived in front of Ning Yu. It struck Ning Yu's chest. Wan Quan's fist had initially targeted Ning Yu's heart. However, Ning Yu's sharp senses had reacted in time, and he had bent his body slightly. Don't underestimate the fact that Ning Yu had bent his body this time, which directly prevented him from being seriously injured. Uft! Ning Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and hurriedly used a spell to stabilize himself. He said coldly, Wan Quan, you are a genius from the ice domain. Do you dare to fight me head-on? You want to fight me head-on? Wan Quan stopped moving and turned to look at Du Feng, who had the upper hand. He said in a low voice, no problem. Let's fight. Do you think I'm afraid of you? As he spoke, a cold expression appeared on Wan Quan's face. Ning Yu keenly caught the cold expression on his face. You want to fight me head-on? It's not that easy, Wan Quan thought to himself. There's something fishy going on. However, this is a good opportunity for me. Ning Yu took a deep breath and secretly hid the ancient scroll in his sleeve. At the same time, his soul power quietly entered the ancient scroll. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the next moment, Ning Yu and Wan Quan rushed out together. Ning Yu's right fist was in front and his body was behind. He was extremely fast. Wan Quan's left fist was in front and his body was behind. His speed was no slower than Ning Yu's. Whoosh! For some reason, Ning Yu and Wan Quan's actions made the Red Devils and Du Feng stop at the same time. Their eyes were fixed on Ning Yu and Wan Quan, wanting to see who would emerge victorious in this exchange. Du Feng was naturally on Wan Quan's side. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with a faint smile, Don't underestimate Wan Quan just because he's a half-step to manifestation realm martial artist. He once killed a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist with his bare hands. There are also many half-step to supremacy realm martial artists who died in Ning Yu's hands, the Red Devil said coldly as he held the Red Devil sword. Hee hee! I might believe you if you say that Ning Yu used your royal grade flying sword to kill a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist. However, why do I feel like you're bragging when you say that Ning Yu killed a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist with his bare hands? Du Feng said with a sinister smile. We'll know if I'm bragging or not, the Red Devil said in a deep voice. Although the Red Devil seemed to think highly of Ning Yu, he was actually very nervous. Just as Du Feng said, even a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist, might not be able to block Wan Quan's punch, let alone Ningyu without the Red Devil sword. The Red Devil secretly made up his mind. As long as Ningyu was injured, he would save Ningyu even if he had to risk his life. You don't have to be so worried. Du Feng shrugged when he saw the Red Devil's expression and said calmly, Wan Quan won't kill Ningyu. Then Du Feng added another sentence. At the very least, before we find Lu Wei, Ningyu won't be. What? Before Du Feng could finish his sentence, his mouth was so wide that several eggs could be stuffed into it. His face was filled with disbelief. Du Feng's body was even trembling as he stood rooted to the ground. In the distance, a blue ancient scroll shot out from Ning Yu's sleeve. In the blink of an eye, it enlarged and wrapped Wan Quan inside. Swoosh! At the same time, Ning Yu's figure flashed, and he rushed toward the Red Devil. Red Devil, leave quickly. The power of the ancient scroll's explosion isn't something you and I can block. Ning, you wouldn't leave the Red Devil alone. He used his soul power to control the explosion of the scroll and rushed toward the Red Devil. Rumble. Chapter 851. The scroll exploded. Ah! The power of the blue ancient scroll's explosion was extremely shocking. Wan Quan was at the center of the explosion, and the result was obvious. After the scream, Wan Quan's body suddenly exploded, turning into fragments that scattered in all directions. Hong Mo, get into the storage ring. Ning Yu shouted with all his might at the critical moment. Swash! Hong Mo was not an indecisive person. He knew that he would die if he stayed. Therefore, he fused with the Red Demon's sword with all his might and flew into the storage ring. As for Ningyu, he summoned his golden core and released terrifying essence qi into the surroundings. Ningyu's intention was obvious. He wanted to use his golden core to withstand the power of the explosion. Idiot! Du Feng cursed silently when he saw Ningyu's actions. He tore open the void and dove in. Du Feng had seen his fair share of ancient scrolls. It wasn't as if he hadn't seen something more powerful than this ancient scroll. However, there was a saying that the more one knew, the more afraid one would be. Although he was not at the center of the ancient scroll's explosion, Du Feng knew that he would not be able to withstand the power of the scroll's explosion. If he stayed, he would be severely injured, even if he did not die. Only by tearing open the void and escaping would he have a chance of survival. Uft. However, not long after Du Feng dove into the void, he hurriedly flew out as though he encountered something terrifying. Most importantly, Du Feng opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His aura dropped from the half-step manifestation realm to the yin-yang realm. Rumble. At the same time, the shock wave from the ancient scroll's explosion had already reached Du Feng. Du Feng did not dare to be careless when he saw the terrifying shock wave. He immediately flicked his wrist, and a few Dharma treasures flew out from his sleeves. Crack! Unfortunately, these Dharma treasures were instantly crushed into pieces like children in front of a burly man when they encountered the shock wave of the scroll's explosion. Boom! Subsequently, the shock wave from the scroll's explosion landed on Du Feng's chest under his horrified gaze. On the other side, Ningyu naturally did not care if Du Feng would be killed because he was in an equally dangerous situation. Pissed. Chi. Although the Yuan Qi released by the Golden Core was very vigorous, it still did not gain the slightest advantage from the aftermath of the scroll explosion. Even his Golden Dan was shaking, as if it was about to be torn apart. Kacha! Suddenly, a slight crack appeared on the Golden Core. Kacha! Kacha! Before long, more and more cracks appeared on the Golden Core. In the end, Ningyu had no choice but to withdraw his Golden Core back into his sea of consciousness, because if this continued, his Golden Core was destined to explode. Bang! Fortunately, The golden elixir had weakened the aftermath of the explosion of the scroll. Otherwise, if Ningyu chose to withdraw the golden elixir at this time, it would undoubtedly be courting death. But even so, Ningyu still suffered terrible consequences. Pu-piu-piu. After spitting out several mouthfuls of fresh blood, Ningyu's aura also fell from the half-step manifestation stage to the yin-yang stage. The explosion of the ancient scroll came too quickly, and it also left too quickly. 3 minutes later, when everything had disappeared, all the buildings and plants in the area had been swept away, leveled to the ground. Cough, cough! Another 3 minutes later, a sudden coughing sound was heard in the area. Then, a skinny figure stood up slowly. The skinny figure was in tatters, his clothes were ragged, and even his hair was very messy. The power of the ancient scroll is indeed powerful. The skinny man scanned his surroundings and mumbled, "Mu Tian alone has such a heaven-defying ancient scroll. It looks like I'll have to be extra careful when I meet other genius cultivators in the future. I might fail miserably at any time. Right, why don't I see Du Feng?" Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and looked around again. After a while, Ningyu slowly withdrew his gaze and frowned. Wan Quan was at the center of the explosion, so it's understandable that he was killed. However, Du Feng was in the same situation as me. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been killed. Boom! Before Ningyu finished speaking, a rumbling sound came from not far away. Then a figure in an equally sorry state sprang out from the ground. Du Feng! Looking at the young martial artist in front of him, whose face could no longer be seen, Ningyu hesitated. "Ningyu, the mountains will not change and the rivers will flow. Just you wait and see." With a cold shout, Du Feng took out a scroll from his bosom and tore it open. Buzz, buzz! As the scroll was torn apart, the space around Du Feng gradually became distorted. Bang! However, before Du Feng could enter the space, a black figure appeared around him and struck his chest. The huge force from his chest caused Du Feng to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Dark Emperor! Seeing the martial artist standing beside Du Feng, Ningyu's face lit up with joy. To be honest, Ningyu was helpless about Du Feng's escape just now. Now that the Dark Emperor appeared, his worries were completely dispelled. One had to know that Du Feng's background was definitely much deeper than Mu Tian's. Once Du Feng escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Dark Emperor's timely appearance caused the worries in Ningyu's heart to disappear completely. In the next moment, Ningyu moved and stood in front of Du Feng. He said, "I'll give you a chance to live. Answer a few questions of mine honestly." "Tui!" Du Feng spat and said coldly, "Kill me if you have the ability." Otherwise, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. Pa, 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 pa. The Dark Emperor hated people like Du Feng the most. He was clearly a prisoner, but he was still so arrogant. Against such people, the Dark Emperor would slap them a few times. "Don't think that I won't know if you don't answer." Ningyu waved his hand, indicating for the Dark Emperor to stop first, because if he continued, Du Feng might be beaten to death. "You have a way to know?" "Ha ha ha. As long as I don't want to say it, no one can get any information from me." Du Feng laughed wildly and said, "Right, I'll tell you very clearly right now. I've already sent the news that Lu Wei is here, back to Domain Ice. I believe it won't be long before people from Domain Ice will come. At that time, it will be the time of your death. F***CK. The Dark Emperor cursed and stepped forward to kick Du Feng's head, causing Du Feng to fall flat on his face. "Ningyu, hand him over to me. I guarantee that I'll make him obedient," the Dark Emperor said in a low voice. "Don't be anxious," Ningyu said indifferently. "Du Feng, let me ask you one last question. What is Lu Wei's identity?" "What identity?" Du Feng raised his brows and said, "There's no harm in telling you. Lu Wei has an extremine body, and this year is the outbreak period. Extremine body. Hearing that, Ning, you could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Extremine body was an extremely terrifying physique. Chapter 852. Snake Gall Grass. However, when the heavens opened a door for you, they would definitely close a window for you. When the extreme Een physique erupted, although one's strength would increase greatly, the aftermath was unimaginable. It felt like the decay of the heavens, rapidly aging until death. Lu Wei actually has the extreme Een physique, and it's going to erupt this year. Ningyu fell into deep thought. Because he had encountered the extreme Een physique before, Ningyu had deliberately learned everything about it. Ningyu knew very well that in this year, when the extreme Een physique was about to erupt, any great stimulation could speed up the eruption of the extreme Een physique. No wonder Wan Quan Hui left the soul assimilating powder on Lu Wei, Ningyu murmured. Looks like I can't let Lu Wei suffer any stimulation for the time being. Ningyu, I know how to suppress the extreme Een physique. As long as you let me go, I will tell you the method. Du Feng felt that his chance had come when he saw Ningyu's expression. He activated the Great Deception technique. In the Ice Realm, who doesn't know that I, Du Feng, am a man of my words? Shut up, did I allow you to speak? The Dark Emperor raised his hand and slapped him again, knocking out several of Du Feng's teeth. Du Feng had a violent temper. He naturally couldn't tolerate being slapped again and again by the Dark Emperor. Don't go too far. At most, we'll both die together. Du Feng's body swelled as he spoke. You want to self-destruct? Ningyu frowned at Du Feng's actions. He then waved his hand. Kill him. There's no need to keep him alive. Understood. The Dark Emperor was waiting for Ningyu to say that. Du Feng had called him a dog time and time again. How could he tolerate it? Now that there was a rare opportunity, the Dark Emperor had to treat Du Feng well. Swish! Just as the Dark Emperor left with Du Feng, the Red Devil flew out from the storage ring and landed in Ning Yu's Xinongong. The Red Devil frowned and asked doubtfully, Why didn't you dig out more information from Du Feng's mouth? Du Feng is rather special. I only know that he's from the ice domain, but I don't know which power he's from. Letting out a sigh, Ningyu slowly said, I'm afraid that leaving Du Feng behind might cause unnecessary trouble. What kind of trouble could there be? We just need to use the array formation in the storage ring to trap Du Feng. Hong Mo was still a little confused. Let's not take over this matter for now. Let's first rescue Mu Feng and the others. After saying this, Ning Yu's figure flickered as he flew towards Mu Feng's location. As a Sky Supreme in his previous life, Ning Yu knew this better than anyone else. Heavenly Supremes had the ability to control genius martial artists from afar. Before figuring out if there were any heavenly sovereigns behind Du Feng, it's impossible for Ningyu to use the array in the storage ring to control Du Feng. Dealing with such a terrifying, unknown genius, it's better to kill him to prevent future troubles. Russell. At the same time, in a certain Halmu Feng, Ancestor Jiao, the Black Widow, and the Black and White heroes sat down and tried to break the array. Damn it! Why is this array so powerful? Ancestor Jiao couldn't help cursing. When Ningyu returns and sees us in this state, he will probably fly into a rage. It doesn't matter if we die. Right now, I'm only concerned if Lu Wei and the rest were taken away or killed by Mu Tian. Mu Feng solemnly said, It's hard to say. Mu Tian and Ningyu are mortal enemies. The Black Widow said, In my opinion, Mu Tian won't kill or take away Lu Wei before he meets with Ningyu. The Black and White heroes said in unison, Mu Tian's target is Ningyu. If I'm not wrong, He will definitely use Lu Wei as bait to lure Ningyu into a trap and catch him like a turtle in a jar. Sigh. Even if Ningyu returns, he won't be a match for Mu Tian. Ancestor Jiu Mo sighed. Furthermore, there's an even more powerful genius martial artist beside Mu Tian. Swish! Swish! As Ancestor Jiu Mo spoke, two figures suddenly descended in front of the hall. The sudden appearance of these two figures caused Ancestor Jiu Mo's mouth to drop. He felt that this was unrealistic. Ningyu! Ancestor Jiu Mo was stunned, but that didn't mean that everyone else was stunned. This was especially true for Mu Feng. When he saw the familiar figure at the entrance of the hall, he immediately shouted, "When did you return?" "Lu Wei is in the forbidden area. Hurry up and go. It'll be too late if you wait any longer." "It's fine. I just came from Lu Wei's place." Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that Mu Feng didn't need to be anxious. In fact, Ningyu was very gratified that Mu Feng was still thinking about Lu Wei at this time. Without any hesitation, Ningyu stomped on the ground and directly rushed to a flag in the corner. "Be careful. Is the power of this array very great?" Mu Feng hurriedly warned when he saw Ningyu's actions. However, Mu Feng's warning came to an abrupt halt halfway through. Ningyu flew back and forth in the main hall and easily uprooted the 4 flags in a few seconds. At this moment, the array that had trapped Mu Feng and the others for a long time was finally broken. Gulp! Mu Feng and the others used their perception to probe for a while. Then they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at Ningyu as if they were looking at a monster. "Isn't this a little too damn terrifying? You have to know that this formation has trapped us for a long time. How could you break it so easily? Where do you think we can put our faces?" "Don't worry. Mu Tian has already been killed by me," Ningyu said with a faint smile. Ningyu's words were light and breezy. However, when it landed in the ears of Mu Feng and the others, it was like a clap of thunder. Mu Tian, who was extremely powerful, was killed just like that? It was no wonder that Mu Feng and the others didn't believe it. After all, the shock that Mu Tian gave them was too great. If someone told them that Mu Tian could fight against a half-step supreme being, they probably wouldn't be shocked. "You guys don't need to worry about this matter. I want to ask if there are any more medicinal ingredients to refine the revival pill?" Ning, you didn't want to tell Mu Feng and the others the truth of the matter. If he told them that there were still Du Feng and Wan Quan who knew how they would feel. There are only 2 sets of medicinal ingredients to refine the revival pill. One of them is with Dan Xingzi. As for the other, taking a deep breath, Mu Feng said, "It's not complete." "Not complete? Which medicinal ingredient is missing?" Ningyu asked. "Snake gall grass." Mu Feng answered honestly. "Snake gall grass, huh? It's a little troublesome." Ningyu frowned slightly and muttered. Although the snake gall grass wasn't the most expensive medicinal ingredient to refine the revival pill, it was the most difficult to obtain. "Ningyu, I know who has the snake gall grass." Chapter 853. Chapter 853. Duancheng, who is he? Ningyu asked with a frown. "An old man." Mu Feng replied. "Speaking of which, it was a coincidence that I was able to meet that old man." Then Mu Feng told him about the situation when he met the old man. Mu Feng spoke while Ningyu listened. After a while, Ningyu figured out the ins and outs. It turned out that the old man had bumped into Mu Feng on the streets of the capital, and a snake gall grass had fallen to the ground. How could Mu Feng let go of such a good opportunity? Hence, Mu Feng had spent a small amount of money to purchase the snake gall grass. After returning, Mu Feng sent someone to follow the old man, and only called the person back after discovering the old man's residence. "What's the old man's cultivation base?" Ningyu asked. I'm not very sure about his exact cultivation base, Mu Feng recalled and said. But from the aura that the old man emitted, I can determine that his cultivation base should be around the primordial core realm. Around the primordial core realm? Ningyu vaguely felt that something was amiss. The snake gall grass was extremely precious, and even if the old man carried it with him, he would be extremely careful. However, not only did the old man carry the snake gall grass with him, but he also coincidentally bumped into Mu Feng, causing the snake gall grass to fall to the ground. The series of coincidences made Ningyu extremely careful. Bring me to see that old man. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu's figure flashed, and he immediately rushed out of the main hall. As the Dark Emperor was still refining Du Feng, Ningyu temporarily left him in Dongwu College. The Dark Emperor was an early-stage manifestation realm cultivator. Together with the Silver Winged Dragon, the Twin Horns Beast, and Old Ancestor Jiumo, he could even fight against a peak-stage manifestation realm cultivator. As for the Red Devil and Furball, they followed closely behind Ningyu. Russell. On the streets of the capital, Ningyu, the Red Devil, and Mu Feng walked side by side. There are more and more experts in the capital. Feeling the strong auras of the surrounding cultivators, Ningyu muttered to himself. In the past, primal core cultivators were rarely seen. Now, there are as many primal core cultivators as there are dogs, yin-yang cultivators everywhere, and even a few creation realm cultivators. Ever since the day after you left the capital, the number of unfamiliar faces in the capital has gradually increased. Mu Feng nodded his head and said, However, I have sent experts to the 4 entrances of the capital. As long as a peak manifestation stage martial artist enters the capital, they will inform me immediately. Currently, no peak manifestation stage martial artist has appeared in the capital. Rumble! However, before Mu Feng could finish his sentence, a terrifying aura soared into the sky from afar. The aura of someone at the peak of the blessed realm. I didn't expect there to be a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm in the capital. What's there to be surprised about? A few days ago, there was a martial artist at the peak of the blessed realm attacking Dongwu College, but wasn't it still resolved? Although that's the case, the atmosphere in the capital has been getting heavier and heavier. I predict that there will be a bloodbath in the near future. Let's get ready and hide in another city. The terrifying aura that soared into the sky, coupled with the discussions that entered his ears, made Mu Feng's face burn. He felt very embarrassed. A slap in the face. A naked slap in the face. Mu Feng had just said that there were no martial artists at the peak of the blessed realm in the capital, and there was a martial artist who responded with a terrifying aura. It was indeed a little embarrassing. Don't worry. The capital will not be the center of the whirlpool. At most, it will be a transitional place. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that Mu Feng did not need to worry. From Wu Xie's words, Ningyu could roughly determine that the center of the whirlpool was most likely the magical beast mountain range. That's not what I'm worried about. Ningyu's words dispelled Mu Feng's awkwardness. Mu Feng shook his head and said, The direction in which the aura of the peak of the blessed realm soared into the sky is the direction we're going. I'm afraid that we might encounter trouble. Hee, a mere martial artist at the peak of the blessed realm is not worth mentioning. Ningyu smiled faintly, then moved his feet and walked forward. Mu Feng and the Red Devil looked at each other and quickly chased after him. Sometimes a person's judgment could be wrong. It did not seem too far, but Ningyu and the others walked for more than 10 minutes before they arrived. Bang, bang, bang. In front of a dilapidated courtyard, Mu Feng was knocking on the door. Creak. Not long after, the door slowly opened from the inside, and a young man appeared in front of Ningyu and the others. Everyone, come over here. Master is refining elixirs. We can only see him in about an hour, the young man said. Not simple. Ningyu's eyes swept over the young man, and his face became solemn. On the surface, the young man's cultivation was roughly at the primal core realm. However, Ning Yu's sharp perception discovered that the young man's cultivation should not be lower than the yin-yang realm. There was even a high possibility that he was at the blessed realm. Thinking of this, Ning Yu secretly became cautious. Everyone, rest here for the time being. Once Master comes out, I will immediately bring you to see him. The young man brought Ning Yu and the others to a room, then left directly. Don't be impatient. Let's wait and see. Seeing that Mu Feng wanted to say something, Ning Yu immediately sat on a chair and closed his eyes. Seeing Ning Yu's action, Mu Feng also sat on a chair and closed his eyes to rest. Creak! At the same time, the young man walked into a room not far away. If Mu Feng was here, he would definitely find that there was another person in the room. It was the old man who sold him the snake gall grass. Master, I don't understand why you insist on seeing Ning Yu. The young man complained. According to my observation, Ning Yu is sloppy and ordinary. The strength of his soul energy is at most at the peak of the 6th grade. The reason why I want to see Ning Yu is because I want to test him. If he is suitable, I plan to take him as my disciple. The old man smiled faintly. Swoosh! Hearing this, the young man jumped up and said in surprise, Master, you actually want to take Ning Yu as your disciple? Are you sure you are not joking? You should know that with your position in the Alchemist Union, as long as you reveal the news of taking in a disciple, I am afraid the door will be broken. Duan Cheng, you should know very well that I take in a disciple by fate. If there is no fate, no matter how talented he is, I will not take him as my disciple. The old man said, Didn't I take you as my disciple because we are fated? Seeing that Duan Cheng still wanted to say something, the old man interrupted him and continued, Go and test Ning Yu. Help me check him out. Okay, I also want to see what is so special about this Ning Yu. Duan Cheng said coldly and left the room without looking back. Looking at Duan Cheng's back, the old man murmured, Chapter 854 Alchemy Furnace Heavenly Ranking Chapter 854 Alchemy Furnace Heavenly Ranking Creek. After leaving the old man's place, Duan Cheng came to the room that Ning Yu was in and directly pushed the door open. Swoosh! The door was pushed open and Ning Yu and Mu Feng opened their eyes simultaneously. A hint of anger appeared on their faces. Although this is your house, we are guests. Isn't it a little inappropriate to enter without knocking? Ning Yu, my master said that if you want to see him, you have to defeat me. Duan Cheng did not care about Ning Yu's strange expression at all, and said proudly, Be it in alchemy or martial arts. Young hero, our main purpose of coming here is to buy. Mu Feng was afraid that Ning Yu and Duan Cheng would have a conflict, so he quickly said, I don't care what you are here for. In short, you have to defeat me first. Duan Cheng interrupted Mu Feng and said coldly. Mu Feng was slightly embarrassed by Duan Cheng's interruption. You are very strong. When they were in the courtyard, Ning Yu did not probe Duan Cheng deeply. After all, he was a guest, and it was not convenient for him to probe him openly. However, now that the other party had said such provocative words, it would be a little unreasonable if he still had scruples about this. Ning Yu's perception began to probe Duan Cheng's body without restraint. Duan Cheng raised his eyebrows as if he had discovered something, but could not touch it. Ning Yu, I don't need you to praise me whether I am strong or not. You only need to answer me. Do you dare to fight with me? His real cultivation should be half-step to the manifestation realm, and his soul strength is at the early stage of the 7th grade. After roughly determining Duan Cheng's cultivation and soul strength, Ning Yu said calmly, Tell me, how do you want to fight? All right, I like straightforward people like you. Duan Cheng flicked his sleeves, and 2 storage bags flew out in an instant. Pa, seeing Ning Yu catch the storage bag steadily, Duan Cheng said, "Don't say that I bullied you. There are 2 sets of medicinal materials needed to refine the 6th grade elixir congealing pill. Let's compete in alchemy here. Rules." Ning Yu's tone was calm. 1 hour. Whoever refines the highest quality spirit congealing pill within an hour will be the winner. Ning Yu being so calm made Duan Cheng very unhappy. I am an early stage 7th grade alchemist, and you are only a peak 6th grade alchemist. There is a big gap between the 2 of us. Like this kind of 6th grade spirit congealing pill, I can casually refine a top grade level. What right do you have to be so pretentious? An hour is too long. For a qualified alchemist, the spirit congealing pill can be refined in only half an hour. Ning Yu waved his hand and said, "If there's no problem, let's start now. I have something important to discuss with your master. I can't wait too long." Humph. Arrogant. Duan Cheng snorted coldly and immediately took out the pill furnace that he carried with him. He immediately sat cross-legged and began to refine the spirit congealing pill. The pill furnace on the heavenly list? Seeing Duan Cheng take out the pill furnace, Mu Feng was surprised. "At least you have some knowledge." Duan Cheng sneered and said, "With this pill furnace, I can even compress the alchemy time to 20 minutes. Swish, swish, swish. Ning Yu didn't care whether Duan Cheng pretended to be pretentious or not. He just wanted to refine the spirit congealing pill as soon as possible, and then go see Duan Cheng's master. Once he got the snake gall grass, he could prepare to refine the good fortune pill. "All of you go in." Seeing that Ning Yu didn't notice him at all, Duan Cheng felt that his pretentious act failed. He grabbed several medicinal materials and threw them into the pill furnace. Chi-chi. Several medicinal materials were constantly being burned in the pill furnace, making a sizzling sound. Not long after, these medicinal materials were all turned into medicinal liquid. Duan Cheng's action was very fast. The medicinal materials had just been refined, and he grabbed several medicinal materials and threw them into the pill furnace. In the short span of 5 minutes, Duan Cheng had already refined all the medicinal ingredients once. Next, he waited for the compression and pill formation. On the other hand, Ning Yu was not in a hurry, throwing the medicinal materials into the pill furnace one by one. With your refining speed, let alone refining the best spirit congealing pill, whether you can refine it is still unknown. Duan Cheng seemed to be very idle. While refining the pill, he also paid attention to Ning Yu's movements, especially when he saw that there were still a lot of medicinal materials left next to Ning Yu. He couldn't help but laugh. "Hong Mo, you and Ning Yu have been together for a long time. Tell me the truth. Can Ning Yu refine the spirit congealing pill?" Not only was Duan Cheng not optimistic about Ning Yu, even Mu Feng was not optimistic about Ning Yu. Mu Feng was an 8th grade alchemist. According to Ning Yu's refining speed, he would definitely not be able to refine the spirit congealing pill within half an hour. "Don't worry, Ning Yu will definitely be able to refine the spirit congealing pill." Hong Mo was very reassured about Ning Yu. What a joke! Ning Yu's alchemy level was very high. In addition, Ning Yu's soul force had reached the peak of the 6th grade. If he couldn't refine this kind of 6th grade pill, how could he survive in the continent in the future? I hope he can refine it as soon as possible. Although Hong Mo was very confident, Mu Feng was still not very optimistic about Ning Yu. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time passed by minute, and in a blink of an eye, 15 minutes had passed. Duan Cheng was compressing the pill, preparing for the final step of forming the pill. As for Ning Yu, although he had refined all the medicinal herbs, there was still a long way to go before he could form the pill. Gee! Another 5 minutes passed, and when the 20th minute arrived, Duan Cheng patted the pill furnace. Swish! In an instant, the pill lid burst open, and a round pill flew out of the pill furnace. Duan Cheng's eyes were sharp, and he grabbed the spirit congealing pill in his hand. Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill. Looking at the spirit congealing pill in Duan Cheng's hand, Mu Feng's mouth opened slightly, and his face was full of surprise. Duan Cheng can actually refine the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill within 20 minutes. It seems that the strength of his soul force is at least 7th grade. Mu Feng was very clear about the difficulty of refining the spirit congealing pill. With his 8th grade soul force, he might not be able to refine the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill within 20 minutes. But Duan Cheng actually did it. Rise! Duan Cheng held the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill in his hand and turned to look at Ningyu. However, just as Duan Cheng turned around, before he had time to speak, he saw Ningyu's palm also patting the pill furnace. Boom! A slightly muffled sound rang out. Then Ningyu put his palm into the pill furnace and took out a black pill. Seeing the black pill in Ningyu's hand, Duan Cheng was startled at first, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Ha ha ha! Duan Cheng laughed so wildly that he couldn't even straighten his back. Ningyu, I didn't expect you to be defeated in the first round of alchemy. It seems that the second round of fighting can be cancelled. Duan Cheng laughed sinisterly. Is that so? Hearing this, Ningyu raised his eyebrows, and then he put the black pill in his mouth and blew on it. Swish! In the next moment, a cloud of black powder was blown away. The spirit congealing pill had completely changed. Chapter 855. Grade 3 Medicinal Pill Recipe Hiss. Seeing the change of the spirit congealing pill, Duan Cheng couldn't help but take a deep breath and was stunned in place. Transcendent Grade Spirit Congealing Pill. The quality of the spirit congealing pill in Ningyu's hands had reached the terrifying transcendent grade. Duan Cheng didn't expect that Ningyu, a 6th grade alchemist, could actually refine a transcendent grade spirit congealing pill. That was a transcendent grade spirit congealing pill. Even if he was given an hour, he might not be able to refine it. How did Ningyu do it? Gulp! After a long while, Duan Cheng swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, Ningyu, bring the medicinal pill over and let me check it. Swish! Ningyu didn't say much, flicked his wrist, and threw the spirit congealing pill to Duan Cheng. Taking the spirit congealing pill, Duan Cheng examined it carefully, hoping to find a flaw. But unfortunately, no matter how Duan Cheng examined it, he couldn't find any flaws. Even Duan Cheng felt that the transcendent grade spirit congealing pill refined by Ningyu was perfect. So perfect that he felt ashamed of his inferiority. Can we move on to the next item? Seeing Duan Cheng in a daze, Ningyu said, Humph, I'm not in a good state today. I just refined the supreme grade spirit congealing pill. When I adjust my state to the peak, let's compete in alchemy again. Duan Cheng threw the spirit congealing pill to Ningyu and snorted coldly, The next item, fighting! The space here is too small. In my opinion, it's better to go to the courtyard to fight. With that, Duan Cheng lifted his legs and was about to leave. No need. Ningyu waved his hand and said, In my opinion, this place is perfect for fighting. Are you sure you want to fight here? Duan Cheng couldn't believe what he heard and hesitated. One must know that he was a half-step creation realm cultivator, and his comprehensive strength was exceptionally heaven-defying. In the past, when his cultivation was still at the peak of Yin-Yang realm, he had killed a late-stage creation realm martial artist with his bare hands. Now that he had advanced to the half-step manifestation realm, He would probably be able to kill a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm effortlessly. Aren't you afraid of your friends getting hurt? Duan Chung pointed at Mu Fong and Hong Mohihi. Their strength is passable. They shouldn't be injured, Ningyu said with a faint smile. That's what you said. Don't blame me if you accidentally hurt them later. As his cold voice fell, Duan Chung rose from the ground and dashed toward Ningyu. In order to defeat Ningyu in one move, Duan Chung even gathered the essence in his sea of consciousness on his wrist, bringing along a horrifying essence wind as he charged at Ningyu. This move, on the side, Mu Fong and the Red Devil's expressions changed. That was because Duan Cheng's move had indeed given them a great visual impact. Hong Mo was still all right. After all, he had fought with a half-step Supreme Being before, even though he was heavily injured. Mu Fong, on the other hand, was a little bitter. He even had the urge to bite the bullet and help Ningyu. The disciple actually has such heaven-defying strength. It seems that master is not simple. Ningyu took a deep breath and gathered the essence chi in his sea of consciousness on his wrist as well. With a backhand, his palm came into contact with Duan Cheng's palm. Pa! A crisp sound rang in the room. Hua! At this moment, everything seemed to have come to a standstill. Bang! Then, Duan Cheng's body flew backward like a rubber ball, only stopping when he hit the wall. Puchi! Dark red blood spurted out. Duan Cheng's eyes were wide open as he looked at Ningyu like a fool. He was speechless for a long time. I lost just like that. If it was said that losing to Ningyu in refining the spirit congealing pill was understandable, then there was nothing much to say now that he was defeated in martial arts. I'm sorry, I was a little too heavy-handed. Sensing that Duan Cheng's aura had slightly weakened, Ningyu slightly knitted his brows and said, But I had a sense of propriety. You only have a slight scratch. It's nothing serious. Very good. You're much stronger than I imagined. Duan Chung wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth as he slowly stood up from the ground and said coldly, Follow me. I'll bring you to see Master. Creak. As he spoke, Duan Chung directly left the room. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and followed behind Duan Chung. In fact, Ningyu had no other way. If he didn't suppress Duan Chung, it would probably take a long time for him to see Duan Cheng's master. Although doing so would likely offend Duan Chung, Ningyu really had no other way. Ha! Heroes indeed come from the youth. Not simple, not simple. Just as Ningyu and Duan Chung left the room, a faint laughter was heard. Looking over, they saw an old man standing in the courtyard. Sovereign Realm. At first sight of the old man, Ningyu's body trembled as these words appeared in his heart. The reason why the old man gave Ningyu such a feeling was because the old man seemed to have fused with the space as he stood in the courtyard, faintly discernible. Such a state wasn't something an ordinary half-step Sovereign Realm cultivator could achieve. He's definitely in the Sovereign Realm, but I wonder what grade of Sovereign he is. Ningyu murmured. Russell. Just as Ningyu was pondering, Duan Chung had already arrived beside the old man. Master, disciple has tried. Ningyu isn't a simple person, Duan Chung said obediently. I've already said that Ningyu isn't a simple person, but you didn't believe me. Great, now you know that there's always someone better out there, right? The old man said. Disciple understands. Disciple will definitely train harder in the future and strive to defeat Ningyu as soon as possible. Duan Chung clenched his teeth. Senior, the main reason I'm here this time is to buy. Seeing the old man and Duan Chung chatting idly, Ningyu couldn't help but interrupt. I know what you want, but before that I want to test you. The old man waved his hand and interrupted Ningyu. I don't have much snake gall grass on me, and I'll have one less if I use it. If you're able to pass my test, then I can give you one for free. Ningyu's expression turned slightly ugly. First, His disciple came to test him and compete with him. Now, even his master wanted to test him. However, he had no choice but to lower his head. Ning Yu could only nod and say, "What does Senior want to test me on? I will definitely do my best to complete it. Actually, it's nothing much. I just have a pill formula here that lacks a medicinal ingredient and has 2 extra ones." The old man said, "1 extra medicinal ingredient and 2 missing medicinal ingredients. As long as you can name 2 of them, I'll give you the snake gallgrass for free." "Master, I only said 1 medicinal ingredient back then. Do you think Ning you can name 2 medicinal ingredients?" Duan Qing couldn't help but ask. Whether he can say it or not, we'll only know after trying. The old man handed the pill formula to Ningyu. After taking the pill formula, Ningyu roughly glanced at the medicinal ingredient combination and couldn't help but frown. A 3rd-grade pill formula? Mufeng and Hong Mo moved closer to Ningyu. Mufeng was an 8th-grade alchemist. At first glance, he could tell that this was a complete pill formula. Moreover, the medicinal ingredients recorded in the pill formula were very common. Chapter 856. Blood God Palace Expert Humph. Such a simple recipe, even an idiot would know it's the Qi Wave pill. Duan Cheng snorted coldly when he heard Mu Feng's words. Mu Feng was a little embarrassed and wanted to flare up, but after seeing the old man, he chose to endure. The old man was a supremacy realm martial artist, and it was somewhat unwise to have a conflict with Duanqing here. After all, not everyone was like Ningyu. Of course an idiot would know it's the Qi Wave pill. An idiot who is even more terrifying than an idiot can only name 1 herb. Mu Feng didn't respond, so Ningyu would definitely help him get back at him. Although the old man was a supremacy realm martial artist, no matter how one looked at it, he didn't want to kill Duancheng. "Oh, could it be that you can name 3 herbs?" Duancheng raised his brows and said disdainfully, "If you can name 3 herbs, I'll recognize you as my big brother in the future." It's actually not bad to have an underling following me. Ning Yu first returned the recipe to the old man, then said, "There are many alchemists who know that the Qi Wave pill is a 3rd-grade medicinal pill, but there is a type of 8th-grade medicinal pill that is very similar to the Qi Wave pill." Duan Cheng's heart thumped, faintly worrying. "Qi Yuan pill," Ningyu said in a clear voice. "You just need to remove the dragon tiger grass, add in the heart essence and Romania beard, and this recipe will become the Qi Yuan pill's recipe." Whoosh! Every word of Ning Yu fell on Duan Cheng's heart like thousands of boulders, pressing down on him until he couldn't breathe. Everything Ning Yu said was true. Back then, Duan Cheng only named 1 herb and didn't even think of the rest. Duan Cheng was very puzzled. How did Ning Yu, a native of the Xia kingdom, do it? He even knew the Qi Yuan pill's recipe. If Duan Qing knew that Ning Yu was a peak 9th-grade alchemist in his previous life, he would probably faint on the spot. "Haha, I promised you that as long as you can name 2 herbs, I will give you the snake gall grass for free." The old man smiled and flicked out a snake-shaped herb. "It's the snake gall grass." Ning Yu carefully caught the snake-shaped medicinal herb and put it into his storage ring. "Thank you, Senior, for parting with me." Ning Yu cupped his fists. "What do you mean by giving up? Are you willing to admit defeat?" The old man said, "Ning Yu, I see that you have a high attainment in alchemy. I wonder if you can introduce me to your master? Just now, you said that you want to accept Ning Yu as your disciple. Now you are asking if he has a master? If he has a master, why would he acknowledge you as his master?" Duan Cheng mumbled to himself. "My master?" Ning Yu was slightly startled and immediately said, "My master likes to travel the world. Even I don't know where he is. I'm afraid I can't help you." "I see." The old man pondered for a moment before continuing. "Are you interested in learning alchemy from me?" "I'm afraid that's not good." Ning Yu refused, almost without thinking. However, before Ning Yu could finish his words of rejection, he stopped abruptly. Boom! At the same time that Ning Yu retreated, the door of the courtyard was smashed into pieces by a huge attack. Subsequently, a group of 3 martial artists slowly appeared in Ning Yu's vision. Hiss! Sensing the terrifying aura emitted from the 3 martial artists. Even though Ning Yu was very calm, he could not help but gasp. The last 2 martial artists were still fine. Their cultivation was only at the peak of the manifestation realm. Although they could be ranked among the top among the martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm, they were only at the peak of the manifestation realm. There was nothing to be afraid of. The old man leading them was more terrifying. The supreme realm. The old man's cultivation was the same as Duancheng's master. They were also at the supreme realm. As for which grade of supreme realm they were, Ning Yu could not tell for the time being. Only when they performed their moves would Ning Yu be able to tell. Dong He, the old man in the lead, first glanced at Ning Yu, then at Duancheng's master. He said in a low voice, "I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you are accidentally injured, it has nothing to do with me. Blood Puppet Patriarch, this is my territory. What are you doing here?" Dong He's face was cold as he questioned, "What am I doing here?" The Blood Puppet Patriarch sneered and pointed at Ning Yu. "I came to the Great Xia Kingdom, this time mainly to investigate the matter of Rong Wei's death. After my investigation, all the signs pointed to the fact that the one who killed Rong Wei was the martial artist beside you, Ning Yu. If you want to kill Ning Yu, you have to ask for my permission first." Dong He said coldly. "You? Ha ha ha." Blood Puppet Patriarch laughed maniacally at the sky. He immediately berated, "You think you can stop me? If I, Blood Puppet Patriarch, want to kill someone, no one can protect him. Fine, I already had some friction with you. Today, I will settle old and new grudges together. I will start with you first. Buzz buzz." Blood Puppet Patriarch was swift and decisive. As soon as he made his move, he immediately merged into the void. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Dong He and punched at Dong He's head. When supreme beings exchanged blows, every single punch contained a terrifying fluctuation of primordial qi. "Ning Yu, I will stop Blood Puppet Patriarch. You two go first." Dong He pushed Duancheng away. He grabbed at the void with his right hand and fought with Blood Puppet Patriarch. "Go. Where are you going?" At this time, the 2 peak manifestation realm martial artists that Blood Puppet Patriarch brought locked their auras on Ning Yu. One of the peak manifestation realm martial artists said sinisterly, "If Blood Puppet Patriarch wants you dead by midnight, you won't live until midnight. What should we do?" Mu Feng, who was beside Ning Yu, asked solemnly, "What else can we do? Kill." Ning Yu flicked his wrist and instantly drew out the red devil sword. He immediately rushed at the peak manifestation realm martial artist in front of him. Since Blood Puppet Patriarch mentioned Rong Wei, Ning Yu could basically be sure that Blood Puppet Patriarch was from Blood God Palace. Ning Yu would not hold back when dealing with people from Blood God Palace. People from sects like Blood God Palace and Corpse Ean sect did all kinds of evil and were extremely cruel. Even if he had not been besieged by Venerable Corpse Ean and Venerable Blood God in his previous life, Ning Yu would have killed them on the spot. "Hang Su, go and deal with the rest. Leave Ning Yu to me." The peak manifestation realm martial artist who spoke just now saw Ning Yu rushing toward him. He immediately waved his hand and signaled his companion to deal with the others. "Subo, don't go overboard." Blood Puppet Patriarch said that he would keep Ning Yu alive and refine him into a corpse puppet. The peak manifestation realm martial artist called Hang Su left these words and then turned into a shadow, rushing toward Duancheng. Damn it! Duancheng's expression was very ugly. Although he was very strong and had killed a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist when he was at the peak Yin-Yang realm, Hang Su was infinitely close to the half-step supreme realm. In a sense, Hang Su's combat power was stronger than even a martial artist who had just advanced to the half-step supreme realm. Mu Feng, Red Devil, go and help Duanqing. Ning Yu rushed toward Su Bo as he turned his head and said, Haha, a half-step manifestation realm martial artist dares to be distracted when fighting with me? It seems that he is really tired of living. Chapter 857. Chapter 857. Killing one first. Noisy. Ning, you did not want to waste time with Su Bo. He clenched his right fist and punched Su Bo's face. Ning Yu would not hold back against a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm like Su Bo. Not only did Ning Yu wrap his Yuan Qi around his fist, but he also wrapped his soul power around his wrist. He wanted to give Su Bo a fatal blow. Child's play. Su Bo did not think much of Ning Yu. He was worried that he would kill Ning Yu with one move, so he only used 80% of his strength. Severely injure, but not kill. That was what Su Bo was thinking. Bang! There was a saying that went, "Dreams are plentiful, but reality is cruel." When the two fists collided, Su Bo even had the urge to curse. The taste of blood in his throat and the numbness in his fist made Su Bo's face darken. Ning Yu, no wonder you could make Blood Puppet Patriarch come in person. You are so strong, Su Bo said coldly. You only know now. It's too late. Ning Yu held the red devil sword in his hand and rushed out again. I failed to subdue you with my previous move because I was careless. Now, I will show you what true strength is. Su Bo grabbed the air, and a Yuan Qi light ball was caught in his hands. The next moment, Su Bo suddenly exerted force and threw the Yuan Qi light ball at Ning Yu. Solitaire. Ning Yu did not care about the Yuan Qi light ball. He injected the Yuan Qi in his spiritual sea into the red devil sword and slashed out with a sword wave. Chi-chi. The Yuan Qi light ball was scattered when it came into contact with the sword wave. What? Su Bo's expression changed when he saw his Yuan Qi light ball being easily dispersed. He felt that it was unrealistic. One had to know that Su Bo's Yuan Qi light ball was his trump card. When Su Bo was in the late stage of the creation realm, he had used this move to easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm. Right now, Ning Yu was only half a step into the manifestation realm. Why was this move useless? Ha! I'll return the same words to you. You dare to get distracted while fighting me? You must be tired of living. Ning Yu smiled as he waved the red demon's sword in his hand. Voila! In the air, several sword waves rose and attacked Su Bo in an overwhelming manner. Every single sword wave was extremely fast. Before Su Bo could even react, they had already arrived beside him, and all of them had blasted onto Su Bo's body. Whoosh! Although Su Bo was a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm, he was helpless against so many sword waves. Without a doubt, the sword wave left several bloody marks on Su Bo's body. At this moment, Su Bo's entire body was bleeding profusely. He looked very pathetic. Only actions can prove how strong a person is. Empty words won't end well. Ning Yu moved his feet and appeared in front of Su Bo in an instant. Remember this in your next life. Keep your eyes open. When he killed Su Bo just now, he had consumed a lot of energy, so the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness had not recovered to its peak state. If he fought with Hang Su now, there was no guarantee that something unexpected would happen. Look, of course I will look. Hang Su was not a fledgling, so he instantly guessed what Ning Yu was thinking. With a low roar, Hang Su stomped on the ground and his body instantly dashed out. Whoosh! Hang Su's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, He arrived beside Ningyu and punched at Ningyu's heart. Ningyu, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you killed Subo. To tell you the truth, I have endured for a long time in the Blood God Palace. My strength is twice as strong as Subo's. You are twice as strong as Subo. But what does that have to do with me? Ningyu spread his hands, and then his figure flashed, choosing to avoid the attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! In midair, Ningyu and Hang Su played hide-and-seek. A moment ago, Ningyu appeared here, and the next moment he tore the void and appeared on the other side. Moreover, Ningyu took advantage of Hang Su's carelessness to sneak up on him a few times. Enough! After about 10 minutes, Hang Su finally could not take it anymore and shouted, Ningyu, do you only know how to run? If you run again, I will let the blood puppet patriarch personally take action. Buzz! Hang Su's words were very lethal. Chapter 858. Chapter 858. Defeat You, the Blood Puppet Ancestor, is a Grade 1 human supreme martial artist. Dong, he is also a Grade 1 human supreme martial artist. Ningyu turned his head to look at the two people fighting in the void and said calmly, Do you think the Blood Puppet Ancestor can deal with me when two Grade 1 human supreme martial artists are fighting? Humph. The Blood Puppet Ancestor's strength is not something you can figure out. To tell you the truth, Hang Su snorted. Don't tell me the truth. What truth can the people from the Blood God Palace say? Ningyu interrupted Hang Su and said, I can kill Subo, so I can kill you too. Haha, a person who doesn't dare to fight me head-on actually said that he can kill me. Don't you feel a little ashamed? Hang Su smiled sinisterly. How could that be? Ashamed is more suitable to describe you. Ningyu said calmly, a warrior at the peak of the Fate Realm against a warrior at the half-step to the Fate Realm. And he couldn't even touch his clothes in 10 minutes. If this gets out, I'm afraid I'll become a laughing stock. You're courting death. Hang Su originally wanted to endure a little longer and wait for an opportunity to probe Ningyu's weakness. However, after hearing Ningyu's sarcastic words, he could no longer endure it. He decided to let Ningyu know how powerful he was. Buzz! Hang Su's hands tore the void and his body rushed in like a bolt of lightning. Without any warning, Hang Su disappeared just like that. The moment Hang Su disappeared, Ningyu closed his eyes and released his perception. 3 meters to the left. With Ningyu's keen perception, he easily found Hang Su's position. 5 meters to the right. However, Hang Su did not appear in the void immediately. Instead, he kept jumping, hoping to confuse them. Unfortunately, every time Hang Su changed his position, he was locked on by Ningyu. Hong Mo Mufeng, Duancheng. Attack with all your strength, 10 meters to my right. Suddenly, Ningyu shouted. Boom! Hearing this, Mufeng and the others did not dare to be negligent. They hurriedly attacked the space 10 meters to the right of Ningyu. A deafening sound resounded in the area. Soon after, a miserable figure was blasted out of the void. Hang Su. The figure that was blasted out of the void was none other than Hang Su. Hang Su's expression was ugly to the extreme. How did you find me? Hang Su couldn't understand how the concealment technique he was so proud of couldn't hide from Ningyu. Hee, your concealment technique still needs to be improved. Seeing Hang Su's expression, Ningyu easily guessed what he was thinking. Spells like concealment were basically useless against Ningyu. Unless it was a supreme being martial artist who used a concealment technique, Ningyu could easily locate anyone else who used a concealment technique. All right, it's about time. I can send you to the afterlife. Ningyu would not miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Although Hang Su didn't suffer any fatal injuries from Mufeng and the other sneak attack, his strength had definitely declined. Ningyu might be a little afraid of Hang Su at his peak, but Ningyu was completely fearless in his current state. Kill him. In the next instant, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and instantly appeared in front of Hang Su, fighting with him. Due to the decline in Hang Su's strength, he was firmly at a disadvantage in a head-on clash with Ningyu. Damn it, I have to think of a way. Hang Su wasn't an idiot like Su Bo, who knew that Ningyu was strong but still wanted to show off. He knew his position very well. At his peak, he was stronger than Ningyu, but now he was weaker than Ningyu. Mu Feng, do you think Ningyu can kill Hang Su? Duan Cheng asked solemnly as he stared at the battlefield in midair. This, actually, I have no way to judge. Mu Feng hesitated and said, Ningyu is very strong, and even Su Bo was easily killed by him. However, Hang Su's strength is even stronger than Su Bo, so Mu Feng didn't continue, but his meaning was self-evident. Don't worry. Mu Feng and Duan Cheng didn't know Ningyu's strength, but the Red Demon was very clear about it. In the Red Demon's opinion, Ningyu could definitely defeat Hang Su. As for whether or not he could kill Hang Su, it would depend on the battle. The reason why the Red Demon was so sure was that Ningyu had yet to display his strongest strength. He was the spiritual body of the Red Demon Sword. When he was outside the Red Demon Sword, Ningyu's strength would drop by at least 20% while he was wielding the Red Demon Sword. If Ningyu could steadily gain the upper hand in this state, one could imagine that as long as he fused with the Red Demon Sword, Ningyu would definitely be able to kill Hang Su easily. It would be a lie to say that I'm not worried. Duan Cheng muttered to himself. In fact, it was no wonder that Duan Cheng was concerned about whether Ningyu could win or not. This was because Ningyu's victory directly concerned his life and death. His master, Dong He, was currently fighting with the blood puppet ancestor in the void. As for when he would return, it was still unknown. Under this premise, Ningyu had become his hope of survival. Ha ha ha, Ningyu, although you can suppress me, killing me is harder than ascending to the heavens. Hang Su laughed maniacally as he fought with Ningyu. Give me another 10 minutes, and I will be able to recover to my peak state. When that time comes, it will be your death. 10 minutes? The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up. When that time comes, I will have already killed you to the point where not even a scrap will be left. Humph. The ignorant are fearless. You think that you can suppress the entire world just by suppressing me a little? Too ignorant, too young, too young. Hang Su snorted coldly. Too young. Ningyu raised his eyebrows. Then a violent soul force appeared on his palm. The strength of a 6th grade soul force? Let me tell you with my strength. This level of soul force is useless against me. Hang Su laughed coldly. Then a thick wave of primal chi appeared on his right hand. With a backhand strike, he struck at Ningyu. Since you are seeking death, I will fulfill your wish. Ningyu's tone was very calm. There was no joy or sorrow as he pushed his palm forward. Life and death palm. However, when Ningyu's palm came into contact with Hang Su's, he shouted softly, "Pa!" A crisp sound resounded in the area. Ah! Then Hang Su instinctively let out a hysterical roar. Uft! Hang Su spat out a mouthful of blood. The aura that was originally at the peak of the manifestation realm dropped to the early stage of the manifestation realm within a second. Moreover, it was still dropping rapidly. Crack! After his aura dropped to the freezing point, Hang Su's knees bent slightly and he knelt on the ground. Why was that palm of yours so powerful? Hang Su gritted his teeth as he endured the pain coming from his palm. There's no harm in telling you. I used the life and death palm, a soul attack spell, Ningyu said calmly. Uft. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.